Chapter 24. Big Brother Wong Kai, turn your head around first. You're not allowed to look back. Chihiro Snow shyly instructed. Of course, I won't peek. Wong Kai obediently turned his head away after hearing her word. Chihiro Snow was still young after all. She was still a little unnatural about letting a man see her naked body. All right, Big Brother Wong Kai. Qian Rinxue's heavenly voice entered Wong Kai's ears along with the sound of water splashing. Wong Kai turned his head. Chihiro Snow's entire body was already soaked in the rich tai cloudy heaven liquid, leaving only her cute little head and delicate white neck exposed. Then I'll start cultivating too, Wong Kai said. He took off his clothes and sat in the cauldron. His chi sank into his dantian and his mind guarded his soul altar. He cleared away all distracting thoughts and started cultivating the fourth layer of the mysterious heaven-suppressing technique. Chihiro Snow looked at Wong Kai's healthy and powerful muscles. She couldn't help but feel her mind ripple. However, when she saw that Wong Kai had quickly entered a state of cultivation, she quickly restrained her distracting thoughts. She closed her eyes and started cultivating the mysterious heaven-suppressing technique. Wong Kai's cultivation continued to increase, and he became more familiar with the technique. His speed of cultivating the first 3 layers of the mysterious heaven-suppressing technique also became faster and faster. In the beginning, it took him nearly an hour to complete the first layer. But now, it took him less than 20 minutes to complete the 9th soul tide. 2 hours later, Wong Kai had completed the 19th to 27th soul tide of the 3rd layer of the mysterious heaven-suppressing technique. Feeling the incomparably surging soul power in his body, Wong Kai finally started sprinting towards the 4th soul vortex. The first 3 soul force whirlpools of the profound heaven-suppressing art were located in the heart, abdomen, and lungs. These were the 3 most important parts of the human body. Once successfully cultivated, it would mean that the cultivator had completed the foundation of their body and could perfectly break through to become a soul grandmaster and become a soul exalt. The 4th to 7th ranks of the Taishian heaven suppression technique required a soul cultivator to form a soul force whirlpool in each of their 4 limbs. Once all 4 whirlpools were formed, a soul cultivator would be able to become a soul sage without any problems. The final 2 stages of the mysterious heaven suppression technique required one to construct soul power whirlpools in the brain and cerebellum, which were the most mysterious parts of the human body. This process was extremely dangerous, but once one succeeded, one would be able to break through the heaven-man boundary without any bottlenecks, and break through the legendary realm of soul Doluo and titled Doluo. Unlike the first 3 layers of the technique, the profound heaven suppression technique didn't specify the order in which the soul force whirlpools in the 4 limbs should be condensed. A soul master could cultivate according to their need. Generally speaking, if a soul master chose to condense the soul force whirlpools in their upper limbs first, they would be able to greatly increase their offensive and defensive power. This was suitable for assault-type and defense-type soul masters. On the other hand, if a soul master chose to condense the soul force whirlpools in their lower limbs first, their speed and endurance would be greatly increased. This cultivation method was suitable for agility-type soul masters, healing-type soul masters, auxiliary-type soul masters, and other soul masters who didn't have strong fighting strength and needed to be able to dodge attacks. To Wong Kai, his first martial soul, the Emperor Shura, was an extremely powerful assault-type martial soul. Therefore, he naturally chose to condense the soul force whirlpool in his right hand as his 4th soul force whirlpool. Wong Kai silently controlled the soul force in his body to surge towards his right arm. After that, he crazily activated the various secret techniques of the profound heaven suppression technique. Incomparably mysterious undulations rapidly flitted across Wong Kai's right arm, causing the soul force in Wong Kai's body to surge with ripples. Within the ripples, tiny soul force whirlpools were continuously formed. They stirred and fused with each other, continuously swallowing and expanding. At the same time, Wang Kai also had to control the undulations of the other 3 soul force whirlpools in his body with all his might. He didn't want to disturb the newly formed 4th soul force whirlpool. Otherwise, once a trace of disharmonious soul force undulations were released, all of Wang Kai's previous efforts would be wasted. To an ordinary soul master, such an attempt might take 1 or 2 years, or even longer. However, such a problem didn't exist for Wang Kai. Wang Kai was a true genius who had been transformed by the system and his god's martial soul. He was a super monster that even the exceptional Dolua Sendoryu was amazed by and felt ashamed of his inferiority. Time passed minute by minute, second by second, and an hour had quietly passed. At this moment, there were only 2 soul force whirlpools left in the sea of soul force in Wang Kai's right arm. They had expanded countless times in size, and were crazily spinning as they slowly fused together. As long as he could successfully fuse the 2 soul force whirlpools into one, Wang Kai would be able to successfully cultivate his 4th soul force whirlpool. He would be able to complete the foundation of the profound heaven suppression technique's 4th level. Under Wang Kai's careful control, the 2 soul force whirlpools continuously drew closer to each other. The parts that came into contact with each other continuously melted and fused together. After another 10 minutes, the 2 soul force whirlpools finally fused into one. In that instant, Wang Kai felt the soul force around his body shake. The amount of soul force entering his body from his pores suddenly increased by several times. Awesome, I've succeeded. Feeling the incomparably vigorous soul force in his body, Wang Kai revealed a trace of a smile. After that, he continued to crazily accumulate soul force, pushing the waves of soul force in his body higher and higher. 28th round, 29th round, and 30th round. Wang Kai pushed a total of 3 new waves of soul force. Only then did he feel that his tendons and meridians were incomparably sore and swollen. Unable to withstand the next wave of soul force whirlpools, he ended his cultivation. The 4 soul force whirlpools in his body also slowly stopped spinning and dissipated. For an ordinary soul master, after condensing a soul force whirlpool, one would definitely need to slowly push it forward. However, after becoming a soul elder and fusing with his second god's martial soul, Wang Kai's body had greatly improved. Only then could he push forward 3 waves of soul force. However, even so, Wang Kai felt that he had already reached his limit. Only by continuously cultivating and increasing his physique and meridian's capacity for soul force would he be able to push forward with the next wave of soul force. Otherwise, if he rashly tried to cultivate, at the very least, he would suffer a backlash. In the worst case, his meridians would be damaged, and it would affect his future potential. Cultivating the profound heaven suppression technique, absorbing soul force, experience plus 50,000. Current experience 5110020000000. Following the prompt, Wang Kai slowly opened his eyes. Big brother Wang Kai, have you finished your cultivation as well? Seeing Wang Kai stand up, Chihiro Snow, who had already finished her cultivation and was resting by the side, asked in a soft voice. I've made you wait for a long time. I've already finished my cultivation. Wang Kai nodded and replied with a trace of apology. Big brother Wang Kai, I've already broken through the 7th wave of soul force. At this time, Chihiro Snow excitedly said, Quickly, tell me the essentials of the next wave of soul force. Congratulations. I'll explain it to you right away. Wang Kai smiled brilliantly and slowly walked out of the cauldron. After putting on his clothes, he sat down beside Chihiro Snow and began to explain in detail to her. Chapter 25. You're so awesome, big brother Wang Kai. Chihiro Snow couldn't help but exclaim in admiration as she listened to Wang Kai's various comprehensions of the mysterious heaven suppressing technique. Alright, it's getting late. Let's meet again tomorrow. After a full hour, Wang Kai finally finished his explanation of the technique. He gently rubbed Chihiro Snow's white and tender cheeks and waved goodbye to her. Half a month passed in the blink of an eye. Wang Kai's soul power tide was still stuck at the 30th cycle and didn't have any obvious progress. However, the amount of experience he needed to break through to become a rank 33 soul elder was nearly half filled through his bitter cultivation. As long as he was given another half a month, he would be able to break through to become a rank 33 soul elder. For the majority of soul masters, this kind of speed of leveling up a level in a month was absolutely a wonderful thing that they wouldn't even dare to dream of. However, Wang Kai wasn't very satisfied in his heart. Relying on Wang Kai's physique, he could only cultivate the mysterious heaven-suppressing technique once a day. Otherwise, it would damage his body's potential. Furthermore, every time he cultivated, it would only give him around 50,000 experience points. According to this speed, if he only relied on monotonous daily cultivation to level up, he would still need around 3 years to become a soul ancestor. A 10-year-old soul ancestor was definitely one of the top existences in the history of the Dolua continent. However, for Wang Kai, who had the infinite martial soul system and 2 god martial souls, this kind of leveling speed was really too slow. For Wang Kai, the fastest way to level up was to kill soul beasts and plunder their soul power. However, his master, Sendoryu, definitely wouldn't be at ease letting his treasured disciple leave the martial soul hall and venture into the soul-hunting forest. As for letting Sendoryu bring him to kill 10,000-year soul beasts to level up, this idea seemed very good. However, who knew if this would arouse Sendoryu's suspicions? Wang Kai didn't want to take such a risk. In short, killing soul beasts to gain experience wasn't an easy way to achieve before his strength reached a certain level. Wang Kai seemed to be left with the only path left for him to cultivate the mysterious heaven-suppressing technique and accumulate experience. If Wang Kai could complete all 36 cycles of Soul Force and push the profound heaven-suppressing art to the peak of the 4th stage, then Wang Kai would be able to gain 100,000 experience points every time he trained. But even so, it would still take him a year and a half to become a soul ancestor. Of course, Wang Kai could also choose to spend points to exchange for experience. However, every point he spent could only be exchanged for 10 experience points. It was like trying to put out a burning cart with a cup of water. Unless he really needed to break through, this method was undoubtedly unwise. Although the progress in his cultivation was barely satisfactory, Wang Kai's soul power and strength had increased tremendously in this half a month. After having the experience of fusing with a 100,000-year soul ring for the first time, Wang Kai also used his remaining 200,000-year soul rings to perfectly attach the second and third 100,000-year soul rings to the chaotic mountain and river cauldron. Wang Kai's second soul skill was called gravitational space. Although the chaotic mountain and river cauldron's second soul ring had reached the 100,000-year level, it only gave Wang Kai 1 soul skill. This also meant that this single soul skill's power was far greater than that of an ordinary 100,000-year soul skill. It was equivalent to 2 soul skills fused into 1. This gravitational space was a soul skill that combined auxiliary type and control type soul skills. Its effects were naturally extremely heaven-defying. When releasing this soul skill, Wang Kai could freely control the gravity within a 20-meter radius. For friendly soul masters, Wang Kai could reduce the gravity they had to bear, allowing them to move faster and even fly in the air for a short period of time. For enemy soul masters, Wang Kai could increase the gravity they had to bear. For powerful soul masters, this soul skill could greatly delay their speed. But for weak soul masters, they might even be crushed into meat paste by the powerful gravity brought about by the gravitational space. Of course, this soul skill could also be used on Wang Kai himself. It could increase the gravity to help train his body, or reduce the gravity to temporarily fly in the air. It could be said that it was extremely mysterious. Of course, The evil consequence of such a powerful power was naturally a terrifying consumption of soul power. Even maintaining the gravitational space in the smallest area, 20 meters, consumed 1% of Wang Kai's soul power every second, and if he wanted to expand the range of the gravitational space to 100 meters, then it would only take a few seconds for all of Wang Kai's soul power to be depleted. Furthermore, this rate of consumption was built on the basis that Wang Kai's soul power was 2 to 3 times thicker than before. Other than that, this soul skill also had another weakness. The stronger the soul master it affected, the smaller the effect it would have on the soul master. If he was dealing with an ordinary person without any soul power, Wang Kai could use the gravitational domain to increase the gravity by a few hundred or even 1,000 times and crush them into meat paste. However, for a soul elder who was similar to Wang Kai could at most double the gravity they had to bear, and the stronger the enemy, the weaker the effect. If he used this soul skill on a titled Doluo, it might not have any effect at all. However, what made Wang Kai the happiest was that this soul skill was actually the embryonic form of a powerful domain. However, due to the limitations of Wang Kai's abilities, this soul skill couldn't transform into a true gravitational domain for the time being. It could only exist in the form of a gravitational space. Otherwise, his consumption of soul power would increase exponentially, or even tens of times, and it wouldn't be something that Wang Kai could bear right now. However, as long as Wang Kai's cultivation and soul power increased, Wang Kai believed that this gravitational space, which was the embryonic form of a domain, would undergo a qualitative change sooner or later, and become a true domain. One had to know that normally, domain-type soul skills would only appear when a soul master became a titled Doluo and obtained their 9th soul skill. Furthermore, the probability of such a soul skill appearing was pitifully low, only 1 in 10. These extremely rare domain-type soul skills were also known as top-grade soul skills in the world of soul masters. Apart from the possibility of obtaining them when one became a titled Doluo, only innate martial soul skills or domains that involved gods could bestow a domain upon a soul master. Of course, no matter what method one used to obtain a domain, in the Doluo continent, there were definitely only a handful of people who possessed a domain, and they were as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. As for why domain-type soul skills were known as top-grade soul skills, the reason was very simple. If a soul master was in his own domain, his abilities would be magnified, and his opponent's abilities would be suppressed. If used properly, it could create a terrifying effect, and there would be no problem in challenging someone of a higher rank. It was truly worthy of a god's martial soul and 100,000-year soul ring. Although Wang Kai was only a soul elder, the 2nd soul skill of his 2nd martial soul was already an extremely tyrannical quasi-domain-type soul skill. Although a quasi-domain-type soul skill was still a step away from a true domain, how could Wang Kai not be incomparably happy with such a harvest? Chapter 26. On the other hand, Wang Kai's 3rd soul skill was a powerful single-target offensive soul skill, and a frightening self-enhancing soul skill. This single-target offensive soul skill was called the annihilation of mountains and rivers. After releasing this soul skill, Wang Kai could control the chaotic mountain and river cauldron to descend from the sky. With the power of the strand of chaotic aura within it, it was enough to unleash a terrifying power that could shatter mountains and rivers. Of course, Wang Kai was too weak right now, and the power of this soul skill was greatly limited. It couldn't destroy mountains and rivers in one strike, but its power was still shocking. Although this was only Wang Kai's 3rd soul skill, unless it was a defense-type soul king with a 10,000-year soul ring who specialized in defense, normal soul masters below the soul king level wouldn't dare to face this soul skill head-on. They could only escape. Of course, once this soul skill was released, it would consume 20% of Wang Kai's soul power. It was an absolute trump card soul skill. As for the self-enhancing soul skill, it was a passive soul skill, Earth Strength. As long as Wang Kai's feet were on the ground, he could continuously absorb energy from the earth. Furthermore, he could continuously convert it into any form of energy that Wang Kai needed to replenish himself. This earth strength could be converted into Wang Kai's life energy, soul power, or spiritual power. If he completely absorbed the earth strength and converted it into soul power, he could recover 10% of Wang Kai's maximum soul power every minute. If Wang Kai relied on his body to absorb soul power from the outside world to recover, he would need at least an hour to recover his soul power to its peak. The appearance of this soul skill undoubtedly increased the speed of Wang Kai's soul power recovery. Furthermore, this soul skill was a passive one. This meant that Wang Kai didn't need to summon the chaotic mountain and river cauldron to enjoy its enhancements. He could use it anytime and anywhere. Even if this soul skill had to be used on the ground, and its appearance couldn't completely solve the problem of Wang Kai's insufficient soul power, it still greatly increased Wang Kai's endurance. Furthermore, as Wang Kai's strength increased, this enhancement would definitely become stronger. Another few days passed. Martial Soul Hall, Elders Hall. According to the usual practice, this was once a month when Wang Kai went to the Martial Soul Hall for Sendoryu to check on his cultivation progress and answer his questions. However, on this day, when Wang Kai arrived at the Elders Hall, he discovered that Sendoryu wasn't the only one. A dozen or so dignified elders were currently conversing with one another. Behind each of the elders was a young soul cultivator. "Greetings, Master." "Greetings, elders." After entering the hall, Wang Kai hurriedly greeted Sendoryu and the other elders. Seeing Wang Kai's reply, Sendoryu nodded in satisfaction, his voice faintly proud. My disciple, how's your cultivation progress recently?" "Master, I've successfully condensed the fourth soul power vortex of the mysterious heaven suppressing technique. I'm one step closer to becoming a rank 33 soul elder," Wang Kai respectfully replied. "Good, very good. Your cultivation talent and comprehension are indeed outstanding," Sendoryu praised, then said, "However, a qualified soul master not only needs a strong realm and soul skills, but also a strong battle awareness and battle skills. It just so happens that it's about time for the disciples of the elders to receive combat training. Therefore, we decided to hold a small competition for you few of the best of the younger generation to see your combat instincts and shortcomings in combat, so as to prepare for the special training in the future." "I understand, Master." Wang Kai hurriedly nodded and replied. As a transmigrator, Wang Kai naturally understood the importance of battle skills. Although he knew the power of his soul skills from the system, Wang Kai had never really fought with a soul master before, so he didn't know his true strength. However, Wang Kai reckoned that if he only used his martial soul, the Azura Sovereign, his third soul skill would be as powerful as an all-out attack from a powerful soul ancestor. However, those soul skills would also consume a lot of energy. Overall, his current strength was definitely inferior to that of a top-tier soul ancestor. According to Wang Kai's estimations, he should be able to match a newly promoted rank 42 or 43 soul master. However, Wang Kai's actual strength still needed to be tested in actual combat. 10 minutes later, in the Martial Soul Holy City's Great Soul Arena. Usually, this was the place where countless soul masters fought and learned from each other, but today, it was extremely deserted. In the vast seats, there was only a row of dignified old men in white robes. If someone familiar with the strong people of the Dolua continent came here, they would definitely exclaim. Every single elder here was a titled Dolua whose name had shaken the entire continent, and whose strength was unparalleled. It was no wonder that the Great Soul Arena was closed because of their arrival. "Okay, let's start the battle here," Sendoryu said indifferently. "Everyone is on the same side. Let's focus on learning from each other and stop when necessary. Okay, let's start the battle now." "Big brother, it's a bit boring to just watch the younger generation fight," Aren't you very confident in your disciple's battle strength? Why don't we make a bet? At this time, an old man with muscles all over his body asked in a strong voice. This old man was the second consecrator of the martial soul hall, second only to Sendoryu in strength, the golden alligator Doloa at the peak of rank 98. Your wishful thinking isn't bad at all. Your disciple is older than my disciple by 6 years, and you're also a soul ancestor. Aren't you taking advantage of me? You must be interested in my Longquan soul carrot wine again. Sendoryu chuckled, immediately seeing through the golden alligator Doloa's wishful thinking. Indeed, Sendoryu and the golden alligator Doloa were good brothers who had fought side by side in the past. How could he not see through this little trick of his? Hee, big brother, your eyes are really sharp. The golden alligator Doloa laughed a little embarrassedly. He didn't have the dignity of a peak Doloa at all. However, if you want to make a bet, that's fine. But you have to take out 5 bottles of 7 Planets Green Lotus wine to bet with me, Sendoryu said with a sly look in his eyes. 5 bottles? Big brother, you're really ruthless. But I'll make the bet. No matter how strong your disciple is, he's only a soul elder. The golden alligator Doloa laughed confidently and agreed. Good, you've got guts. Demon fighter, old chrysanthemum, Xing Long, do you want to make a bet too? When the time comes, whoever's disciple wins will take it all. Sendoryu seemed to be in high spirits as he looked at the other titled Doloa with disciples who were participating in the bet. Since Big Brother has said so, it would be impolite of us to refuse. The demon fighter and the other titled Doloa revealed a look of joy in their eyes as they all joined in the bet. Just like that, the first round of the competition began amidst the laughter and curses of the elders. Chapter 27. There were a total of 8 soul cultivators participating in the elders' disciple competition. However, aside from Wang Kai, who was only a soul elder, the other 7 soul cultivators were all soul ancestors. Of course, they were also much older than Wang Kai. They were all around 13 or 14 years old. However, Wang Kai's body was also much larger than his actual age. Although his skeletal age was only around 6.5 years old, his body wasn't any weaker than an 11 or 12-year-old child. He wasn't particularly conspicuous among the soul cultivators participating in the competition. As for the rules of this competition, every 2 soul cultivators would fight a round. There would be a total of 28 rounds, and the master of the competitor with the most wins would become the winner and win all the bet. If the 2 competitors had the same number of wins, they would have to fight again to determine the winner. Under such rules, the atmosphere of the elders' disciple competition was filled with a strong smell of gunpowder. In the first round of the competition, there were 2 tall and sturdy youths. Zhang Ran, martial soul, demon subduing pestle, rank 41 battle soul ancestor, master of the demon subduing Dolu. Please guide me. On the left, there was a youth wearing a black robe with golden edges. His muscles were bulging, and he looked extremely sturdy. His eyes flashed as he slowly spoke. Li Wei, martial soul, 9 Netherbird, rank 42 battle soul ancestor, master of the ghost leopard Dolu. Please guide me. On the right, there was a handsome youth wearing a white shirt and pant. He was neither servile nor overbearing as he reported his rank. In the Doloa continent, this was an official challenge. As a soul sage from the martial soul hall announced the start of the battle, the 2 youths shot out like arrows. They transformed into 2 black lines and tangled together in the soul dueling arena. Yellow and purple soul rings flashed in midair. Zhang Ran waved his demon vanquishing staff in a vigorous manner, and unleashed soul skills with boundless might towards Li Wei's position. On the other hand, Li Wei had fused with his martial soul, the 9 Netherbird. His entire body had turned into a black whirlwind, becoming incomparably fast. Every time, he would dodge Zhang Ran's all-out attack at the most crucial moment. Furthermore, he would use his soul skill, causing wind blades and whirlwinds to slash towards Zhang Ran with terrifying wind pressure. The two of them fought for dozens of rounds in the soul dueling stage. In the end, Li Wei's soul power was stronger than Zhang Ran's. Furthermore, a beast martial soul had an advantage over a tool martial soul before becoming a soul sage and awakening one's martial soul true body. In the end, Zhang Ran carelessly revealed an opening, and Li Wei's wind blade left a deep wound on his chest. Blood gushed out from the wound. The battle is over. Li Wei wins. Seeing that Zhang Ran had basically lost his ability to fight, the white-robed bishop announced the result of the battle indifferently. At the same time, his majestic soul power enveloped the entire Great Soul Arena, protecting Zhang Ran and ending the battle. Not bad, not bad. Seeing that Li Wei had won, the ghost leopard Dolo revealed a look of satisfaction deep in his eyes. On the other hand, the demon vanquishing Dolo furrowed his brows slightly. The rules of this elder's competition determined that as long as one lost a battle, they would have no chance of becoming the victor. Although as a titled Dolo, he definitely wouldn't feel the pinch for 1 or 2 bottles of exceptional divine brew, losing face in front of his old companions wasn't something to be happy about. Although the demon vanquishing Dolo was displeased, he still said to a female elder beside him, "Holy Lotus Dolo, I'll have to trouble you for my humble disciple. I'm willing to help." The gentle voice of an elder beside him, who had a delicate face and light green hair draped behind her back. She looked like a 17 or 18-year-old girl. Unlike male-titled Dolo, female-titled Dolo were often willing to sacrifice a certain amount of their life force to maintain their youthful appearance. As a result, Wang Kai couldn't see any signs of age on the Holy Lotus Dolo's face. Immaculate green lotus, healing light. The Holy Lotus Dolo's elegant voice sounded, and a vibrant green lotus appeared behind her. Her purple soul ring flashed, and a beam of green light that contained boundless life energy shot out from the green lotus behind her, directly toward Zhang Ran. Under the illumination of the green light, the wounds on Zhang Ran's body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Zhang Ran revealed a look of joy in his eyes. After that, he stood up and left the soul dueling arena. He strode over to the demon vanquishing Dolo and sat down. "You little brat, you actually lost against such an opponent. It seems like I haven't trained you enough before. From now on, your training will have to be doubled." The demon vanquishing Dolo said with disappointment, "Yes, I also have to consider adding some special training for you. Otherwise, you won't even be able to take down a small sparrow." "No, master, please spare me." Zhang Ran revealed a bitter expression, and he couldn't help but wail. The second round, the Holy Dragon Dolo's disciple versus the Battle Angel Dolo's disciple. At this moment, the bishop on the stage continued. "Good boy, you're going all out to fight for me. If you lose, I won't let that girl, Jianxue, go to your place every day in the future." After hearing the judge's words, Sendoryu revealed a sly look in his eyes, and he whispered into Wang Kai's ear. "Master, this is too inhumane. Renxue is my fiancé, how can you do this?" Wang Kai pouted. Although he said this, Wang Kai wasn't too worried in his heart. While Wang Kai wasn't as strong as the older soul ancestors, he was still more than capable of dealing with these newly ascended soul ancestors. They were still wet behind the ears and lacked actual combat experience. While it wasn't as easy as flipping his hand, he was more than capable of dealing with them. "That's enough, Wang Kai. Don't act like you've been taken advantage of. Although Renxue is your fiancé, I'm her grandfather. Hee, do you think she'll listen to you or me? Alright, go fight obediently and perform well," Sendorius said with a mischievous smile. "I understand, master." After speaking, Wang Kai strode onto the soul dueling stage. At this moment, his opponent was already standing in front of him. Wang Hao, martial soul. Heavenly Star Go Board, rank 42 Soul Battle Ancestor, Master of the Holy Dragon Dolo, please guide me. In front of Wang Kai, there was a handsome, thin youth in a greenish-brown mandarin jacket who spoke with a serious expression. Wang Kai, martial soul. Emperor Shura, rank 32 soul battle ancestor, master of the angel Doloa, please guide me. Wang Kai also cupped his fists and reported his name. All right, let the battle begin. The white-robed bishop shouted, then turned around and left the soul dueling stage. And thus, the curtains of Wang Kai's first battle with a soul master in his career began. Chapter 28. Be careful, Wang Kai. Even though my martial soul is a control-type martial soul, it's still quite powerful. Swords and spears don't have eyes in the soul dueling arena. If you can't hold on any longer, don't try to be brave, lest you get hurt. As Wang Hao spoke, his soul force began to circulate around his body. An intricate yellow chessboard that sparkled with countless stars appeared in his hands. Immediately after, his first yellow soul ring flashed. Heavenly Star chessboard set. Along with Wang Hao's low shout, strands of incomparably dazzling star energy instantly condensed on the Heavenly Star Go board in his hand, and then it transformed into an incomparably solid yellow halo of starlight that bound towards Wang Kai's body. Shura's Dragon Slayer's spear. Wang Kai snorted coldly. His soul force began to pulse wildly as a black soul ring flashed behind his back. Behind Wang Kai, Emperor Shura's runes began to flicker. An extremely dense blood-colored energy began to condense in the air. A blood-colored spear carved with a ferocious five-clawed golden dragon appeared in Emperor Shura's right hand. Wang Kai gently waved his hand, and the blood-colored spear traversed through space and appeared in his hands. Break for me! Wang Kai's eyes flashed. With a wave of his arms, Shura's Dragonslayer's spear violently swept forward. Accompanied by a low dragon's roar, a blood-colored brilliance cut through space and slashed towards the halo of starlight in the distance. Furthermore, the halo of starlight was shattered without any resistance. The halo of starlight was reduced to particles of starlight that disappeared into the air. Amazing! As expected of the head deacon's disciple. Wang Hao's eyes flashed with astonishment as he couldn't help but praise. It had to be known that although Wang Hao's martial soul, the Heavenly Star Go board, wasn't a superb martial soul with innate full soul power, it was still a top-notch martial soul with innate soul power that had reached a terrifying level 9. Its might was boundless. His first soul ring was also obtained from a 400-year soul beast, which had reached the limit of an ordinary soul master. Relying on his martial soul and soul force, his first soul force was enough to completely bind an ordinary soul exalt and make them unable to resist. He never thought that Wang Kai would be able to break his attack with just a light thrust of his spear. Not bad. To be able to so easily break a serious attack from a soul ancestor as a soul exalt, as expected of the great Reverend's disciple. The ghost Doluan nodded in praise. That's right. Look, his third soul ring already has a 10,000-year soul ring. No wonder he possesses a god's martial soul. The snake spear Doloa smiled and sighed. That's right. However, he used his third soul skill, while Wang Hao only used his first soul skill. When Wang Hao uses his other soul skills, this Wang Kai won't be as relaxed as he is now. The demon vanquishing Doloa shook his head as he spoke. You are indeed very strong. You've already won my respect. However, that was only a warm-up. The current you is already qualified for me to display my full strength. Wang Hao's eyes flashed, and his third purple soul ring flashed behind him. Heavenly Star Go board. Meteor strike. Following Wang Hao's words, streaks of incomparably violent star power condensed in the Heavenly Star Go board in his hand. Immediately after, countless fist-sized golden meteor balls rose from the Heavenly Star Go board in Wang Hao's hand and shot towards Wang Kai crazily. Faced with these boundless meteors, Wang Kai revealed a serious look in his eyes. No wonder he's a titled Dolua's disciple. Although Wang Hao's attack was only his third soul skill, Its power was definitely not any weaker than the all-out attack of a soul ancestor's fourth soul skill. Head Consecrator, you've overestimated yourself this time. You've lost for sure. After seeing Wang Hao's attack, the holy dragon Dolua came to Sendoria's side and spoke with a hint of pride in his voice. Although your disciple has a god's martial soul, he's still only a soul elder. Although the quality of my disciple's heavenly star go board is inferior to Emperor Shura's martial soul, he has an absolute advantage in terms of soul power. He'll definitely be able to win easily. That's not necessarily true. Don't be too happy too early, holy dragon. Sendoria smiled slightly as he spoke in an enigmatic manner. Shura's skysplitter strike. Although the might of Wang Hao's attack was definitely enough to make an ordinary 41 or 2 soul ancestor flustered, it wasn't a problem for Wang Kai to defend against such an attack. Wang Kai's second soul ring flashed behind him, and immediately, the aura of Emperor Shura's martial soul behind Wang Kai's back increased by a large amount. An incomparably tyrannical blood-colored energy began to wantonly condense around Emperor Shura's body. In the next instant, Emperor Shura behind Wang Kai clasped his hands together and raised them above his head. Then, with the force of 1,000 caddies, he slowly swung them downwards. Streaks of blood-colored light containing mysterious and unfathomable might shot out from Emperor Shura's hands. Carrying with them a peerlessly terrifying might, they flew towards the meteor shower in the distance, leaving behind strange blood-colored shadows in the air. A 10,000-year soul ring. Heavens, his second soul ring is a 10,000-year soul ring. Am I seeing things? A god's martial soul, as expected of a god's martial soul. Seeing Wang Kai's attack, the titled Dolua below the stage were unable to suppress the shock in their hearts. One after another, they began to discuss with disbelief in their eyes. Only Sendoryu remained seated steadily in his seat. His eyes were as calm as an ancient well. Yes, for an ordinary soul master, their second soul ring could only reach a maximum of 764 years of age. Only a few extremely monstrous geniuses had the slightest chance of absorbing a 1,000-year soul ring as their second soul ring. However, Wang Kai's second soul ring was a full 10,000-year one. How could this not shock them? One had to know that even in those ancient legends, only those mysterious and unfathomable gods had records of absorbing a 10,000-year soul ring as their second soul ring. Furthermore, the gods who were able to achieve this were, without exception, the cream of the crop amongst the gods. Under the endless astonishment in the eyes of the elders, countless meteors and blood-colored blades of light crazily clashed against each other in the air. They were constantly colliding and annihilating each other, causing loud explosions to ring out. Gusts of strong wind shot out from the center of the soul dueling arena where the two soul skills collided, causing ripples to appear on the sturdy soul power barrier surrounding the soul dueling arena. Although Wang Hao's third soul skill was comparable to the fourth soul skill of an ordinary soul ancestor, and was even more difficult to deal with, there was no doubt that the power of Wang Kai's Shura's Skysplitter was still a level higher than Wang Hao's. It was completely comparable to an attack from a top-notch soul ancestor. Meteors after meteors were shattered by the blood-colored blades of light. Although the blood-colored blades of light had dimmed a little, they continued to slash at other meteors. Under this situation, the number of meteors remaining in the air became fewer and fewer. However, there was still about half of Wang Kai's blood-colored blades of light left. Furthermore, under the astonished gazes of the elders, they continued to shoot towards the distant Wang Hao. Chapter 29. How is this possible? Wang Hao couldn't help but reveal a ruthless look in his eyes when he saw his proud soul skill being so easily destroyed by Wang Kai. Heavenly Star Chessboard Defense. However, Wang Hao had no choice but to continue using his soul power to unleash his second soul skill in the face of the thousands of blood-colored blades that were shooting towards him. Wang Hao's second yellow soul ring flashed, and the heavenly star chessboard in his hand immediately floated in front of him. Streaks of starlight shot out from the center of the chessboard towards Wang Hao's surroundings, forming an incomparably huge chessboard projection around him, protecting him in the center. Streaks of blood-red light blades struck the chessboard phantom in front of Wang Hao. Moreover, the chessboard phantom exploded violently, emitting bursts of blinding blood-red light. Amidst the wild explosions, the projection of the chessboard in front of Wang Hao trembled violently and fluctuated, and its color dimmed continuously. However, it didn't shatter in the end, and successfully blocked the remaining power of Shura's Heaven Splitter. Amazing! Wang Hao exclaimed. However, after using two 10,000-year soul skills in succession, you must have very little soul power left, right? Then, take another move of mine. Heavenly Star Chessboard, Astral Light. Wang Hao roared angrily, and the dark purple fourth soul ring behind him suddenly lit up. The Heavenly Star Chessboard that was suspended in midair flew up high and floated above Wang Hao's head. Countless mysterious runes flickered on the chessboard and emitted an unfathomable aura. Immediately after, a blazing pillar of light as thick as a water pipe appeared in the sky above the soul dueling arena, and shot towards Wang Kai's head with terrifying power. That's a very good attack. The power of this attack is probably enough to threaten most Soul Kings. Xinglong, you've really taken in a good disciple. Ghost Dolua praised softly when he saw Wang Hao's attack. Of course. The Xinglong Dolua shook his head proudly, as if the outcome of this battle had already been confirmed. In the face of the Holy Dragon Dolua's smug look, Thousand Daos Lu merely stroked his beard and stared at the soul dueling stage in silence. Others might not be aware of this, but as Wang Kai's master, he had personally witnessed the might of Wang Kai's soul skills and the boundless extent of his soul power. Wang Kai was definitely still capable of unleashing a 10,000-year soul skill twice, so there was no need for him to worry. Wang Kai's eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness as he watched the astral light shooting towards him. With a thought, Shura's dragon-slaying spear returned to Emperor Shura's martial soul. In the next moment, Emperor Shura swung his right arm and hurled the blood-red spear towards the astral light pillar in the sky. The ferocious Shura's dragon-slaying spear shot towards the astral light pillar in the sky, accompanied by a deep and majestic dragon's roar as it collided with the astral light pillar. Following a terrifying explosion, a deafening sound rang out in the air above the soul dueling stage. A blood-red mist and dense starlight spread out in the air above the soul dueling stage. Take another attack from me, Shura's dragon-slaying spear. Wang Kai roared at this moment, and his third soul ring lit up once more. A blood-red Shura's dragon-slaying spear appeared in Wang Kai's hands once more. He pushed off the ground with both feet and charged towards Wang Hao with the spear. How is this possible? Wang Hao revealed a look of disbelief. He had never thought that Wang Kai, who was only a soul elder, would be able to unleash a 10,000-year soul skill 3 times in a row. Heavenly Star Chess Set. Although Wang Hao's soul force had been greatly depleted from unleashing his 4th soul skill, he still tried his best to calm the boiling soul force around him as he unleashed his 1st soul skill 3 times in a row. Wang Hao's first yellow soul ring lit up 3 times in succession, and 3 incomparably solid rings of starlight flew out from the Heavenly Star Go board, imprisoning Wang Kai in midair. It's useless. Wang Kai swept his Shura's dragon-slaying spear in front of him, and the 3 rings of starlight turned into faint starlight particles that dissipated into the air. A powerful soul skill that could restrain a soul elder wasn't able to stop Wang Kai for even a second. Although Wang Kai's soul force had been greatly depleted during the battle, the Shura's Skysplitter strike had only depleted about 15% of his soul force. Using Shura's dragon-slaying spear twice had depleted 10% of his soul force each time. He still had more than 2/3 of his soul force left. Not only that, but Wang Kai's 3rd soul skill, Earth Strength, was also crazily absorbing the earth's strength from the earth and converting it into soul force. It poured into Wang Kai's body and replenished his soul force with every passing second. It's not working? Heavenly Star chess set. Defense. Wang Hao revealed a helpless look as he watched Wang Kai get closer and closer to him. He had no choice but to use his second soul skill again, and an enormous projection of a chessboard formed in front of him. Break for me! Wang Kai roared as he stabbed his spear forward. A blood-red moon swept past Wang Hao's body. Before the Azura dragon slaying spear's blade, the chessboard in front of Wang Hao quickly dimmed. In less than a few seconds, it burst like a bubble. You've lost, Wang Kai said coldly as he pressed Shura's spear against Wang Hao's neck. Yes, I admit defeat. Wang Hao could only raise his hands and surrender when he felt the cold sensation on his chin. Originally, Wang Hao's Heavenly Star Go board was a control-type martial soul. Although his soul skills had pretty good long-range offensive capabilities, once an enemy got in front of him, he simply had no way to counterattack. He could only obediently be slaughtered by his opponent. The battle has ended. Wang Kai wins. After hearing Wang Hao's surrender, the white-robed bishop hurriedly announced the result of the battle. His voice was filled with astonishment. Yes, anyone who saw a soul elder defeating a soul ancestor would be astonished. This was because not only the white-robed bishop, but even the titled Doluo on the stage were looking at Wang Kai as if they were looking at a little monster. Head Consecrator, you've really hidden your strength well. The holy dragon Doluo could only smile helplessly when he saw this. He accepted the fact that Wang Hao had lost. It was true that Wang Hao's performance in this battle was commendable. Even a soul ancestor 4 or 5 levels higher than him wouldn't necessarily be a match for him. However, it was a pity that his opponent this time was Wang Kai, a freak with a god's martial soul. Well done, Wang Kai. After seeing Wang Kai return victorious from the soul dueling stage, the Sendoryu cheerfully praised him. Continue to work hard. The final victor will be you. Thank you for your praise, Master. After completing his first victory, Wang Kai was quite satisfied. After thanking Sendoryu, he walked to the spectator stand behind the Sendoryu and sat down. He continued to observe the other soul masters in the competition. Chapter 30. Other than Zhang Ran and Li Wei, the remaining 4 disciples of the elders also went up to fight. The third battle was between 2 youths named Liang Heng and Lin Xing. Liang Heng was a rank 43 battle soul ancestor. His martial soul was the Annihilation Flame Dragon. His master was the Golden Alligator Dolu. Lin Xing was a rank 41 battle soul ancestor. His martial soul was the Heavenly Ancient Tree. His master was the Chrysanthemum Dolu. This battle was very clean. In less than 10 rounds, all of Lin Xing's defenses were broken through by Liang Heng. He was completely suppressed. After witnessing Liang Heng's strength, Wang Kai couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. The martial soul of this soul master named Liang Heng was a red dragon with an extremely terrifying aura. Its body was several meters long, and black flames that seemed to be able to burn everything burned fiercely. Its might was boundless. Wang Kai estimated that this Liang Heng could definitely fight against those who had just become Soul Kings. He was definitely a strong opponent in this battle. In the fourth battle, the only female Soul Master in the Elders competition finally appeared. Bingyin was a rank 42 battle soul ancestor. Her martial soul was the Absolute Ice Umbrella. Her master was the Ice Doluo. Her opponent was the rank 41 battle soul ancestor Fu Kong. His martial soul was the Rock Spirit. His master was the demonic Bear Dolu. Although Tool souls weren't as strong as beast souls in the early stages, after a fierce battle, Bingyin defeated Fu Kong and became the winner of that battle. Following the conclusion of the 4 battles in the first round, the second round began as scheduled. The first battle was between the demon-subduing Doluo's disciple, Zhang Ran, and the holy dragon Doluo's disciple, Wang Hao. Holy Lotus Doloa, I'll leave the matter of replenishing my soul power to you, the demon subduing Doloa said slowly. I'm willing to help. However, no matter who wins, I'll get 30% of the spoils. The Holy Lotus Doloa said with a smile. Then, a purple soul ring flashed behind her. Immaculate Green Lotus, light of soul power. The image of a green lotus appeared behind the Holy Lotus Doloa. Two purple streams of light that contained pure soul power surged out from the leaves of the green lotus and entered Zhang Ran and Wang Hao's bodies. Thank you, Your Majesty. Zhang Ran and Wang Hao hurriedly expressed their gratitude as they felt their soul power return to its peak. Then, they both walked onto the soul dueling stage. Following the battle between Zhang Ran and Wang Hao, it was Wang Kai's turn to fight. This time, his opponent was Li Wei, the super genius who possessed the 9 Netherbird martial soul. Holy Lotus Doloa, please. The ghost leopard Doloa cupped his hands and said, Of course. The green lotus behind the Holy Lotus Doloa flashed as she prepared to unleash her soul skill. Your Majesty, my soul power has completely recovered. I don't need your help anymore. At this moment, Wang Kai hurriedly said as he released his boundless soul power. Oh, your recovery speed is really not bad. A hint of surprise flashed through the Holy Lotus Doloa's eyes, and a faint smile appeared on her face. Her soul ring flashed, and a streak of purple soul power entered Li Wei's body. The 4 battles between soul masters only took a total of 10 minutes. For ordinary soul masters, it was impossible for them to recover their soul power in such a short period of time. However, with the power of the earth, even if Wang Kai's soul power was completely depleted, he would still be able to recover it in 10 minutes. In fact, even without the power of the earth, Emperor Shura's recovery speed was astonishing. As long as Wang Kai was given an hour, he would be able to fully recover. However, battles between soul masters were usually as quick as lightning. Victory and defeat could be decided in a matter of minutes. Because of this, Wang Kai's soul skill wasn't enough to provide him with an endless amount of soul force in battle. However, it still gave him a frightening recovery ability. Li Wei. Martial Soul, 9 Netherbird. Rank 42 Soul Ancestor. Master of the Ghost Leopard Dolu. Please guide me. Li Wei said plainly as he released the powerful aura of a soul ancestor. Wang Kai. Martial Soul, Shura. Rank 32 Soul Ancestor. Master of the Angel Dolu. Please guide me. Wang Kai leaped onto the soul dueling stage and clasped his hands in front of his chest. All right, let the battle begin. Just as the white-robed bishop finished speaking, Li Wei shouted, 9 Netherbird, possess. In the next moment, Li Wei's eyes began to flicker with bursts of terrifying black light. A layer of rather glossy black feathers rapidly grew on his exposed skin. Incomparably sharp brown claws abruptly appeared on his 10 fingers. Yellow, purple, and purple halos abruptly lit up behind him. Wang Kai, I admit that your talent is shocking. You're also very strong. You can defeat a soul ancestor as a soul elder. However, my soul power is 1 level higher than Wang Hao's, and my martial spirit is also a beast martial spirit. My fighting strength is higher than a tool martial spirit by a level. You are definitely not my opponent, so obediently accept your defeat. Li Wei said coldly. The first yellow soul ring behind him flashed. 9 Netherworld, haste. In the next moment, Li Wei's speed increased explosively. His body turned into a black arrow as he charged towards Wang Kai. Humph, you won't think that way later. Wang Kai laughed coldly. His third soul ring flashed behind him. Shura's Dragonslayer's spear. A blood-red light danced in the air. An extremely ferocious blood-red Shura's Dragonslayer's spear appeared in Wang Kai's hands. After that, he tapped his feet lightly on the ground and turned into a blood-red whirlwind as he charged towards Li Wei. 9 Netherworld, Wind Blade Slash. Li Wei's cold voice rang out in the air. His second soul ring flashed as he waved his claws. Black wind blades shot out from where his claws intersected. They streaked across the air and slashed towards Wang Kai with frightening power. Insignificant skill, Wang Kai shouted coldly. The Shura's Dragonslayer's spear in his hand danced like the wind. Every single one of these wind blades was comparable to a Soul Grandmaster's all-out attack. Even a normal Soul Elder would find it hard to resist the combined attack of several dozen wind blades. Li Wei's attack was aimed at Wang Kai with several hundred wind blades. Even a Soul Ancestor would find it hard to deal with such an attack. However, how could Wang Kai's strength be compared to a normal Soul Elder or Soul Ancestor? Shura's Dragonslayer's spear streaked across the air in front of Wang Kai like a blood-red moon. The wind blades were destroyed one by one, turning into a grayish-black mist that dissipated into the air. The remaining wind blades struck the ground of the Soul Dueling Arena and kicked up a cloud of dust. The ground of the Soul Dueling Arena was made from a special type of metal that was strong enough to withstand the shockwaves of a Soul King's battle. However, the shockwaves from Li Wei's attack were able to leave a shallow cut on the ground. Good. Take another claw of mine. While Wang Kai was brandishing his spear to defend against the wind blades, Li Wei's figure had already appeared behind Wang Kai. With a wave of his arms, his black claws shimmering with a cold radiance viciously clawed at Wang Kai's back. Chapter 31. Shura's Blood Claw. The Shura clan was recognized as one of the strongest clans in the universe, and Wang Kai's martial soul was the royal of the Shura clan. Although Wang Kai had never undergone combat training, the battle instincts that the Emperor Shura brought to Wang Kai could be said to be extremely terrifying. Facing Li Wei's sneak attack, Wang Kai did not panic at all. He suddenly turned around, and his first soul ring flashed behind him. The claws of the Emperor Shura martial soul behind Wang Kai's back emitted an incomparably solid blood-colored light. Then, they fiercely tore in Li Wei's direction. Two incomparably sharp blood-colored claws cut through the air and met Li Wei's claws, leaving faint blood shadows in the air. 10,000-year soul ring. How is this possible? This is his first soul ring. Evildoer, evildoer. After witnessing Wang Kai's attack, the elders who were watching from the side sighed again. Yes, a 10,000-year soul ring for the second soul ring was already a miracle that only existed in legends. However, today, a peerless monster with a 10,000-year soul ring for the first soul ring actually appeared in front of them. The blood-colored claws collided with Li Wei's claws in midair, and an ear-piercing explosion was heard. The blood-colored light dissipated, and small densely packed holes appeared on Li Wei's claws. The black feathers on his body also emitted sizzling sounds of corrosion. You're the first to be able to injure me to this extent. However, it's over. Looking at the wounds on his body, Li Wei's eyes flashed with a fierce light. He gritted his teeth and shouted angrily. Flames of the 9 underworlds. In the next moment, an extremely strange black flame ignited on Li Wei's body. Suddenly, Li Wei's aura rose at an astonishing speed. His speed and strength also increased crazily. The wounds on his body that were corroded by the baleful aura of Shura's blood claw kept healing. It seemed that Li Wei's soul skill could increase his recovery ability in addition to increasing his strength and speed. You should be proud to be defeated by this move of mine, Li Wei said coldly. His body once again turned into a black shadow and attacked Wang Kai. Don't try to win a battle of words. Wang Kai coldly snorted and raised his gun to meet the attack. Even though Wang Kai's martial soul, Emperor Shura, was extremely powerful, he was still only a soul exalt. Against Li Wei, who was going all out, he was only able to barely defend himself. It was very difficult for him to counterattack. It's a pity that I can't use the chaotic mountain and river cauldron. Otherwise, whether it's the gravity space or the chi of heaven and earth, he'll suffer. Looking at the elusive Li Wei, Wang Kai couldn't help but think in his heart. After unleashing the 9 underworld's flames, Li Wei's speed had increased by at least 50%, and his strength had also increased by 30%. Every time his claws clashed with Shura's dragon-slaying spear, he could force Wang Kai back by half a step. In fact, there were a few times when Li Wei's attacks directly hit Wang Kai's body. The scorching 9 underworld's flames burned Wang Kai's skin until it was carbonized. However, after entering battle mode, Wang Kai seemed to have completely forgotten about the pain in his body with the support of Emperor Shura's martial soul's will. He was only madly converting the power of the earth into life energy and sending it to his wounds to accelerate the recovery of his wounds. At the same time, he waved Shura's dragon-slaying spear with all his might and fought with Li Wei. Spears and claws clashed back and forth, accompanied by the sounds of metal clashing. A black shadow and a red shadow flashed continuously in the arena. In the blink of an eye, Wang Kai and Li Wei had already exchanged almost 100 blows. However, even though Wang Kai was temporarily at a disadvantage against Li Wei couldn't break through Wang Kai's impenetrable defense. There were a few times when Li Wei clearly saw that he had used the 9 underworld's flames to burn Wang Kai. According to convention, the 9 underworld's flames couldn't heal at all. Instead, it would rapidly fester and cause the enemy to lose their ability to fight. However, Wang Kai continued to fight as if nothing had happened, and his wounds were rapidly healing. This made Li Wei extremely depressed. Feeling the rapid depletion of his soul power, the tyrannical look in Li Wei's eyes became even more obvious. As he attacked with his claws again and again, he crazily activated his soul skills. Wind blades and tornadoes crazily attacked Wang Kai. Faced with Li Wei's attacks, Wang Kai wasn't able to withstand them at first. However, as the battle progressed, Wang Kai's instincts seemed to have been activated. The blood in his body slowly boiled, and his fighting strength continued to increase rapidly. After dozens of blows, Li Wei's soul power had been depleted by the 9 underworld's flames, and he had entered a more dangerous state. On the other hand, Wang Kai's soul power had only been depleted by less than 20% under the crazy replenishment of the power of the earth. Every thrust and flick carried an incomparably domineering aura, and he was gradually entering a better state. He was already able to fight Li Wei to a standstill. After another dozen or so exchanges, the 9 underworld's flames on Li Wei's body finally began to dim. His speed and strength also began to slow down. With every move he made, he was forced to retreat repeatedly by Wang Kai. Although Li Wei was also a disciple of a titled Doluo, the technique he cultivated was still inferior to Wang Kai's mysterious heaven suppression technique. Furthermore, he didn't have 2 martial souls like Wang Kai did, and he didn't have a terrifying soul skill like the earth's strength to replenish himself. His soul power naturally couldn't sustain the crazy depletion of his soul skills, and he was almost completely depleted. "You've lost." After fighting for a few more rounds, Wang Kai swept his spear and heavily knocked Li Wei to the ground. After that, Long Bridge swayed, and the tip of his spear was pressed against the back of Li Wei's neck as he spoke coldly. "I admit defeat." Although he was unwilling, Li Wei could only admit defeat obediently in the face of such a threat to his life. "The battle has ended. Wang Kai wins." After hearing Li Wei's words, the white-robed bishop hurriedly announced the result of the battle. "Your abilities can't be compared to mine. You only had an advantage in terms of soul power." As he stood up, Li Wei was a little indignant as he spoke. "The total amount of soul power is also a part of one's abilities. Furthermore, your cultivation is so much higher than mine. I didn't say that you had an advantage." Wang Kai replied plainly. "All right, a loss is a loss. Don't find excuses and embarrass me." The ghost leopard Dolo revealed a tinge of displeasure in his eyes as he spoke coldly from the spectator's stand. "Yes, master." Li Wei felt a little wronged, but he still obediently sat behind the ghost leopard Dolo. "Disciple, you did well." Seeing that Wang Kai had returned victorious once again, The corners of Sindoria's mouth curled into a slight arc. He was rather satisfied as he said, "Your fighting instincts are very strong. No wonder you have a god's martial soul. Even without any combat training, you can still have such sharp reactions and exquisite fighting skills. However, your fighting is still based on your instincts, and there are still many rough areas. I'll point them out for you one by one in the future, and arrange specialized training for you. Alright, now take a good rest and prepare for the battle that's coming up." "Thank you, Master." Wang Kai thanked him and sat down behind Sindoryu. As he recovered his soul power, he watched the rest of the battle. Chapter 32. After 2 consecutive victories, Wang Kai's next opponent was Zhang Ran, a rank 41 fighting soul ancestor who was taught by the demon-subduing Doluo and had a demon-subduing pestle as his martial soul. After his battle with Li Wei, Wang Kai seemed to have unlocked some sort of restriction in his bloodline. His every move became more and more precise and ferocious, and his fighting strength was also on a whole new level. He unleashed his third soul skill and summoned Shura's Dragonslayer's spear, forcing Zhang Ran to retreat. Zhang Ran wasn't Li Wei's match in the first place. Against Wang Kai, who could suppress Li Wei, he could only parry his attacks, and couldn't retaliate at all. He struggled to hold on under Wang Kai's barrage of spear strikes. "You've lost." Each of Wang Kai's spear strikes was faster and stronger than the last. Even though Zhang Ran repeatedly unleashed his soul skills in an attempt to break free, Wang Kai still managed to knock his demon-subduing pestle out of his hands. The blood-red tip of the Azura dragon-slaying spear was pressed against his throat. "I admit defeat. I'm not as good as you." Zhang Ran shouted hurriedly. "You're very strong, but I won't give up on myself. I hope I'll have another chance to challenge you in the future." Zhang Ran clasped his fists in admiration as Wang Kai slowly withdrew his Shura's Dragonslayer spear, and returned to his seat. "You won't have that chance," Wang Kai thought to himself. However, he still clasped his fists and continued to watch the fight. Although Zhang Ran had become a soul ancestor at the age of 14 or 15, and was definitely a super genius who had a chance of becoming a titled Doluo in the future, his talent was nothing in front of Wang Kai. As time passed, Wang Kai would only become stronger and stronger, and all of his opponents would gradually fall behind him. They could only look up to him, and wouldn't have any chance to overtake him. In this round, the Golden Alligator Doluo's disciple, Liang Hang, easily tore through his opponent's defenses, and obtained victory without any effort. "It seems like the winner of this battle will be between me and Liang Hang." After watching the battles of all the soul masters participating in the competition, Wang Kai gradually became more confident in his heart. Yes, even someone as strong as Wang Kai had to admit that Liang Hang, who possessed the Annihilation Flame Dragon martial spirit, was definitely a terrifying opponent. After all, even though Wang Kai's martial soul was the Supreme God's martial soul, he was still only a soul exalt. It was already a miracle in the world of soul masters that a titled Doluo's disciple was able to fight against a soul ancestor. Even the titled Doluo elders hadn't expected Wang Kai's fighting strength to be so terrifying. However, it was still quite difficult for Wang Kai to defeat a soul ancestor like Liang Hang, who was able to fight off a low-level soul king. In the fourth round, Wang Kai's opponent was Bing Yin'er. Her master was the Ice Doluo, and her martial soul was the Absolute Ice Umbrella. She was a rank 42 battle soul ancestor. Bing Yin'er could be considered a top-tier beauty. Her ice-blue hair was draped behind her head, and she was tall and slender. She wore a long blue dress, and she held a sparkling and translucent ice umbrella that exuded an icy aura. She had a cold and noble aura that kept people at arm's length, and who knew how many men would be attracted to her. Even though Bing Yin'er's appearance was definitely top-tier, Wang Kai didn't hold back at all for the sake of his future happiness with Chihiro Snow. He unleashed his full strength. Not only was she exceptionally beautiful, but she was also extraordinarily strong. She was even stronger than Wang Hao. However, even Li Wei, who possessed a top-tier beast soul, the Nine Netherbird, was defeated by Wang Kai. Bing Yin'er naturally wasn't a match for Wang Kai. After dozens of rounds, Wang Kai broke through all of her defenses, and the tip of his spear was pressed against her chin. "I've lost." Bing Yin'er's eyes flashed with unwillingness, but she could only admit defeat obediently. She looked at Wang Kai with admiration and worship in her eyes. Coincidentally, Wang Kai's next two opponents weren't Liang Hang, but Lin Xing and Fu Kong. In this way, the battle between him and Liang Hang would become the true finale battle of this competition. When the fifth battle began, Lin Xing, who possessed the heavenly ancient tree, wasn't a match for Wang Kai in the face of Wang Kai's storm-like attacks. However, Lin Xing's heavenly ancient tree martial soul's soul skill was exceptionally difficult to deal with. It was similar to Tang San's Blue-Silver Emperor in the original work. Not only was its defense shocking, but its control was also exceptionally frightening. Wang Kai was also trapped in the forest cage formed by Lin Xing's soul skill for a short while. He spent a lot of effort before he was able to escape. Even though Wang Kai defeated Lin Xing without any suspense in the end, he still felt a little heavy in his heart. One had to know that Liang Hang only used 10 moves to defeat Lin Xing, but he was entangled by Lin Xing for such a long time. Compared to Liang Hang, there was still a certain gap in his current strength. In the sixth battle, Wang Kai's opponent was the rank 41 Battle Soul Master, Fu Kong, whose martial soul was the rock spirit and was a disciple of the demonic bear Dolu. If Lin Xing's martial soul was said to be both defensive and control type, then Fu Kang's martial soul was said to be purely defensive. After being possessed by his martial soul, Fu Kang's skin was completely petrified. A thick layer of rock grew on his skin, forming a rock armor. When faced with Wang Kai's Shura's Dragon Slayer spear, Fu Kong actually used his body to block it. After the layer of rock around his body was damaged, Fu Kong simply activated his soul skill. Streaks of earthy yellow light condensed at the damaged areas of the layer of rock, restoring the hideous cracks to their original state. At the same time, after being possessed by his martial soul, Fu Kang's strength increased by several times. Every punch that he threw was accompanied by a gust of wind that swept past Wang Kai's body. This caused Wang Kai's face to hurt a little. Faced with such an unbreakable tortoise shell, Wang Kai had a headache at the beginning. However, from the previous few battles, Wang Kai discovered that even though Fu Kang's defense was extremely strong against pure physical attacks, and could even block a casual attack from a Soul King, his layer of rock was much weaker against energy-based attack. Even Bing Yin'er could break through his defenses. Then take one of my moves, Shura's sky-splitting strike. As soon as he thought of this, Wang Kai immediately changed his strategy. His second soul ring flashed behind him, and he slashed his Shura's sky-splitting strike towards Fu Kong. Rock barrier! Rock barrier! Faced with the thousands of blood-colored blades that were hurtling towards him, Fu Kong revealed a serious look in his eyes. His third and fourth soul rings flashed behind him, and streaks of earthy yellow energy gathered in front of him, forming an extremely thick rock barrier. At the same time, the layer of rock around him crazily absorbed the boundless power of the surrounding rocks, and became even stronger and more flexible. Following a violent explosion and waves of blood fog that slowly dissipated, the rock barrier in front of Fu Kong was shattered by Wang Kai. The thickness of the rock armor on the outside of Fu Kang's body was reduced by more than half. Again, Shura's sky-splitting strike. A look of excitement flashed across Wang Kai's eyes. The soul power around his body surged, and his second soul ring flashed again. Chapter 33. In the next moment, countless scarlet blades of light shot out from Emperor Shura's hands and slashed towards Fu Kang's body. They left streaks of blood-red afterimages in the air. Rock barrier! Rock barrier! Fu Kong could only continue to circulate his soul power as he looked at the sharp, blood-red blades of light that were slashing towards him. His third and fourth soul rings lit up once again. Boundless rock energy quickly gathered in front of Fu Kong and formed a thick, solid rock barrier. At the same time, the shattered rock armor around his body was also absorbing the rock energy that was drifting around him. It was rapidly growing and recovering. However, even Fu Kong was unable to block Wang Kai's Shura's sky-splitting strike when he was at his peak. Furthermore, he had yet to recover from Wang Kai's first attack. Following a terrifying explosion, the rock barrier in front of Fu Kong was only able to block a third of the blood-red blades of light before it was completely shattered. The remaining blood-red blades of light pierced through the center of the barrier and violently struck Fu Kang's rock armor. Following a series of kacha-kacha sounds of rock shattering could be heard. The rock armor on the surface of Fu Kang's body started to crack at a speed visible to the naked eye. The shattered rock fragments that were dyed with blood-red light shot out in all directions and scattered all over the place. Without the protection of his rock armor, Fu Kang's almost petrified skin was unable to withstand the attacks of the blood-red blades of light. It continued to crack open, revealing deep wounds that were so deep that his flesh could be seen. Thick blood gushed out from his wounds. The thick, blood-red aura around his wounds was like maggots that were entrenched in his bones. It was constantly corroding the wounds around Fu Kang's body. I admit defeat. I admit defeat. The battle has ended. Wang Kai wins. Hearing Fu Kang's mournful cries, the white-robed bishop hurriedly announced Wang Kai's victory. Holy Lotus Doluo, I'll have to trouble you. Seeing that his disciple was so heavily injured, the demonic bear Doluo's eyes revealed a trace of gloom as he hurriedly pleaded. Of course. The Holy Lotus Doluo nodded slightly, and her purple soul ring flashed behind her. A beam of green light that was imbued with boundless life energy surged out from the green lotus behind her, surrounding Fu Kang's body. Streams of life energy continuously clashed with the Shura's baleful aura that Wang Kai left on Fu Kang's wound, and slowly dissipated the blood-colored baleful aura. Under the impact of the life energy, the baleful aura around Fu Kang's wound finally completely dissipated. His wound also quickly healed with the help of the massive amount of life energy. Thank you, Your Majesty. Feeling the pain in his body disappear, Fu Kang got up and sucked in a few breaths of cold air. There was still a trace of fear in his eyes. What powerful corrosive energy! At this moment, a hint of surprise flashed through the Holy Lotus Doluo's eyes. From what she could sense, each portion of her life energy could only erase 10 portions of the baleful aura from Wang Kai's soul skill before it completely dissipated. One had to know that the Holy Lotus Doluo was a titled Doluo, a terrifying existence that stood at the peak of the entire Doluo continent. On the other hand, Wang Kai was only a soul elder. The difference in soul power between the two was like heaven and earth. Yet, the remnant baleful aura from Wang Kai's soul skill was actually able to affect her soul skill. How could she not be surprised? Wang Kai and Fu Kang's battle had ended, and the 6th round of the Elders' competition had also come to an end. Right now, there was only one round left before the final victor was decided. Of course, the final victor of this battle had already been confirmed to be between Wang Kai and Liang Hang. Both of them had maintained complete victories in the past 6 battles, and no battle had occurred between them. In other words, according to the rules, they were bound to encounter each other in the final round of the battle and compete for the final victory. Big brother, I didn't expect you to hide your strength so well. However, with me around, your wishful thinking won't succeed so easily. At this moment, the golden alligator Doluo slowly walked over to Sendoriu's side. There was a hint of pride in his voice. Oh, is that so? However, I don't think my disciple will be defeated so easily. Sendoriu smiled slightly, but didn't explain further. Compared to the other disciples, Liang Hang's cultivation was not only stronger, but his martial soul was also a type of dragon. Although it didn't allow him to reach the innate full soul power, it was still stronger than the other disciples' martial souls. However, to Wang Kai, his martial soul Emperor Shura's special characteristic was that it would become stronger the more it fought. Fighting someone as strong as Liang Heng would definitely stimulate Wang Kai's strength. Coupled with Wang Kai's extraordinary recovery ability, it wasn't impossible for him to win. Round 28. Golden Alligator Dolua's Disciple vs. Angel Dolua's Disciple. The other three pairs of disciples' battles came to an end. At this moment, the white-robed bishop on the stage finally called out Wang Kai and Liang Heng's names. "Good luck, my disciple. If you lose, you know what will happen," Sendoryu whispered into Wang Kai's ear. After that, he gave him a gentle push. "Master, you really don't know how to act like an old man," Wang Kai scolded in his heart. However, he still strode over to the soul dueling stage and leaped onto it. Liang Heng, Martial Soul. Annihilation Fire Dragon, rank 43 Battle Soul Ancestor, under the Golden Alligator Dolu. Please enlighten me. Seeing that Wang Kai had climbed onto the soul dueling stage, the red-haired youth in front of him introduced himself in an overbearing manner. At the same time, he released the terrifying aura of a rank 43 soul ancestor. Following his words, a faint draconic aura was released from his body and enveloped the entire soul dueling stage. Even though this draconic aura was still worlds apart from that of a true dragon, a normal soul master or even a soul grandmaster wouldn't be able to circulate their soul force normally under such pressure. They'd be at Liang Heng's mercy. Wang Kai, Martial Soul. Shura, rank 32 Battle Soul Ancestor, under the Angel Dolu. Please enlighten me. Although the draconic aura that Liang Heng released might be able to intimidate ordinary soul ancestors, Wang Kai's martial soul was the legendary Emperor Shura. Even the most ordinary Shura was in existence that could slay a dragon. Naturally, Liang Heng's draconic aura was ineffective against him. On the contrary, under this pressure, Wang Kai only felt that his heart began to beat faster and faster, and the blood in his body seemed to boil. Mysterious memories surged into his sea of consciousness, as if some ancient instinct was slowly awakening. "All right, let the battle begin," the white-robed bishop shouted. He turned around and left the soul dueling stage. After the white-robed bishop left the stage, the battle that would determine the final outcome of the competition between the elders and disciples finally began under the excited gazes of the titled Dolua and the other elders and disciples. Chapter 34. You're very strong, Wang Kai. Compared to those rotten fishes and shrimps, you're still quite strong. However, your winning streak will be ended by me today. Liang Heng was extremely domineering as he finished speaking. His soul power trembled, and a huge red dragon that was 10 meters long appeared behind him, burning with terrifying black flames. Annihilation Flame Dragon, Possession. Following Liang Heng's roar, a layer of faint black light emerged from his body. The muscles all over his body began to swell violently, and his fingernails grew madly, forming a pair of incomparably ferocious dragon claws. Flashing red scales appeared on the surface of his body, and the scorching flames of annihilation burned fiercely on the surface of his body. The dragon's might around him also skyrocketed. Apart from the changes to his body, Liang Heng's eyes also turned blood-red at the same time. They shone with a bloodthirsty light, and his entire body exuded a terrifying might and dominance. Not bad. His aura isn't inferior to an ordinary Soul King's, right? No wonder he's the second deacon's proud disciple. Seeing Liang Heng's transformation, the titled Dolua below the stage nodded their heads in admiration. Impressive. However, I won't give up. Shura's Dragonslayer's Spear. Seeing Wu Rui's martial soul possession, Wang Kai's eyes flashed with a serious look. His third soul ring flashed behind him, and Shura's Dragonslayer's Spear appeared in his right hand. Why? Are you looking down on me because you're not using martial soul possession? You'll regret this. A vicious look flashed across Liang Heng's eyes as he spoke coldly. Annihilation Dragon Claw. Liang Heng's first soul ring flashed behind his back. Suddenly, his claws flashed with an ingenious light and became much sharper. Following this, his body disappeared from where he was, and he turned into a streak of red and black light as he shot towards Wang Kai. Open! Seeing Liang Heng coming towards him, Wang Kai revealed a determined look in his eyes. He exerted strength in his hands, and Shura's Dragonslayer's spear swept out fiercely. Accompanied by the sound of metal clashing, Liang Heng's terrifying strike was forcibly neutralized by Wang Kai. However, Wang Kai's figure also retreated explosively at the same time. He took 3 steps back before he could stabilize his body. You're too weak. Liang Heng didn't give Wang Kai any chance to react or adjust. Liang Heng shouted coldly once more, and his first yellow soul ring flashed. Another claw with unparalleled power came crashing down on Wang Kai's face. I won't lose. A hint of helplessness appeared in Wang Kai's eyes, but it quickly turned into determination. He frantically circulated all of the soul power in his body and thrust his Azura dragon-slaying spear forward. Yes, he was at a disadvantage without his martial soul's possession. After using his martial soul's possession, Liang Heng's attack power, speed, defense, and soul power had at least doubled. Furthermore, with the support of his Annihilation Flame Dragon, his entire body had become a weapon that could be used to attack. He had become a human-shaped weapon. Apart from this, his battle awareness had also been strengthened countless times with his martial soul's possession. His overall strength had more than doubled. However, it wasn't that Wang Kai didn't want to use his martial soul's possession. It was that he always felt like there was a barrier stopping him whenever he tried to use his martial soul's possession on Emperor Shura. He couldn't enter that mysterious realm. Clang! Shura's Dragonslayer's spear collided with Liang Heng's claws, and sparks flew everywhere. Wang Kai only felt an indescribable force coming towards him along the shaft of his spear. Under this force, Wang Kai was pushed back several steps. Even his organs felt like they were being shaken. Again. Seeing that Wang Kai was being pushed back, Liang Heng's eyes flashed with a hint of fanaticism. He channeled his soul power again and attacked with his Annihilation Dragon Claw. Damn it! Wang Kai cursed in his heart. However, facing Liang Heng's attack, all he could do was continue to raise his spear to meet it. This time, Wang Kai didn't know if it was because of the previous attack, but Liang Heng's soul skill had already caused some internal injuries to him. This time, Wang Kai was pushed back a full 5 steps before he could stabilize himself. At the same time, Wang Kai felt a slight heat in his throat. It was as if something warm was about to gush out. I can't do this. Wang Kai calmed himself down as he frantically absorbed the power of the earth to recover from his injuries. Lose for me. Annihilation Dragon Breath. Liang Heng didn't give Wang Kai any chance to catch his breath. His third purple soul ring flashed behind him as he opened his mouth. In the next moment, a black fireball that was only as thick as a fist shot out from Liang Heng's mouth. It flew straight towards Wang Kai. Shura's sky-splitting strike. The moment the black fireball flew out from Liang Heng's mouth, Wang Kai felt goosebumps all over his body. It was as if he had been locked onto by some great fear. He couldn't dodge, and could only take it head-on. Wang Kai's second soul ring flashed behind him. Countless blood-red blades of light shot out from Emperor Shura's clasped hands towards the black fireball in the distance. However, Wang Kai's Shura's sky-splitting strike, which had always been successful, was ineffective this time. Although Liang Heng's black fireball had dimmed a lot from the blood-red blades of light, the remaining black fireball still managed to break through the encirclement of Shura's sky-splitting strike. It went straight for Wang Kai's face. Open up! Faced with the black fireball that was getting bigger and bigger in his field of vision, Wang Kai revealed a look of desperation. Shura swung his spear and swept it towards the terrifying fireball. Bang! Following a violent explosion, the black fireball exploded when it came into contact with Shura's dragon-slaying spear. Terrifying black flames engulfed Wang Kai's body. Holy Lotus, quick, heal him. Don't let my disciple get hurt. Sendoryu revealed a look of worry when he saw Liang Hang's attack. He hurriedly gave an order. No, head consecrator, your disciple's condition is very good. The Holy Lotus Doloa had a clear view of the situation, and whispered a reminder to Huoyuhao. Thump, thump. Just as the black flames engulfed Wang Kai's body, Wang Kai suddenly felt as if his heartbeat had slowed down by countless times. His surroundings suddenly became incomparably crimson, and everything in his field of vision slowed down. A series of extremely mysterious Shura power surged through Wang Kai's body in a frenzy, and a series of black scales that were engraved with mysterious inscriptions began to grow in a frenzy, covering Wang Kai's entire body. Wang Kai felt a slight pain in the top of his head. In the next instant, two extremely sharp dagger-like black horns that were flashing with mysterious light grew out of his forehead, presenting an extremely menacing sight to behold. At the same time, his fingernails also abruptly thickened and elongated, transforming into extremely sharp Shura's claws. Black flames began to spread over Wang Kai's Shura scales, but Wang Kai didn't feel the searing pain that he had expected. Instead, he only felt his entire body heat up slightly. This is Emperor Shura possess. Wang Kai couldn't help but yell as he sensed that his strength, defense, and agility had become several times more powerful than before. Chapter 35. You're finally going all out? But you're still going to lose. When he saw that Wang Kai had turned into an Azura after the Annihilation Dragon Breath and was completely unharmed, Liang Hang's eyes revealed a trace of shock. However, this shock quickly turned into a surging battle intent. Annihilation Dragon Claw. Liang Hang's first soul ring flashed again when he saw that the Annihilation Dragon's breath was ineffective against Wang Kai. He clawed at Wang Kai again. That's not necessarily true. Wang Kai wasn't afraid when he saw the dragon claw coming at him. He raised his spear and met it head-on. This time, Liang Hang and Wang Kai both took half a step back. They were evenly matched. Good. Now you're worthy of being my opponent. Liang Hang's battle intent grew stronger as he looked at Wang Kai. A ball of black light and a ball of red light clashed with each other in the center of the soul dueling stage. In the blink of an eye, Liang Hang had already struck out with his claws dozens of times. Wang Kai also struck out with his spear. The two of them were locked in a fierce battle. Liang Hang started to get a little anxious when he couldn't defeat Wang Kai. His soul power's recovery speed was amazing, but it was still inferior to Wang Kai's. He had used so many soul skills consecutively, and his soul power had been depleted by half. Good, have a taste of my strongest form. Annihilation Flame Dragon Transformation. Following Liang Hang's furious roar, the second yellow soul ring behind him suddenly lit up. The muscles all over his body expanded, and his scales and sharp claws became even more ferocious. Good! Wang Kai was at a disadvantage against Liang Hang, whose strength and agility had increased again. Every time he clashed with Liang Hang, he would take half a step back because of the huge force. Liang Hang's soul power started to decrease as time passed. However, Wang Kai became more and more courageous. Every time he struck out with his spear, he was able to fight Liang Hang to a draw. Eat my spear. After attacking for a long time without success, Liang Hang felt his soul force begin to weaken. Liang Hang's heart was incomparably anxious, and he viciously clawed at Wang Kai again. I saw it. There's a flaw. Suddenly, Wang Kai stabbed out with his spear as if he had a sudden inspiration. With a piercing sound, Wang Kai's spear cleverly and skillfully broke through Liang Hang's defense and cut through the scales on his chest, leaving behind a long wound as blood spurted out. How dare you injure me? You are unforgivable. Not only did Liang Hang not become weak because of the injury to his chest, it instead stimulated his bloodthirst and bestiality, causing him to become even more violent. Die! Destruction! Flame! Dragon! Kill! Liang Hang roared angrily, pausing between each word. The soul power in his body surged, and his fourth soul ring lit up. The next moment, the phantom of the Annihilation Flame Dragon appeared in front of Liang Hang. The huge dragon waved its claws, and two terrifying Annihilation Flames shot out from the claws of the Annihilation Flame Dragon, intersecting and shooting towards Wang Kai. Shura's Blood Claw. Faced with this terrifying attack, Wang Kai, who was possessed by Emperor Shura, wasn't afraid at all. Instead, he felt his heart beating wildly, and his blood and soul power surged. His first soul ring flashed behind him. Wang Kai waved his arms, and two blood-red claws shot out from where his claws intersected, meeting the Annihilation Flames in the distance. Following an intense explosion, Wang Kai's figure was flung out like a broken sack. The tough Shura's scales on his chest were torn apart, and his bright red flesh was charred black by the Annihilation Flames. The Shura's dragon-slaying spear in his hand also fell onto the soul dueling stage. In the end, Wang Kai was only a soul elder. Against Liang Hang's attack, which was comparable to a soul king, he was still at a disadvantage. You've lost. Annihilation Dragon Claw. A trace of joy appeared in Liang Hang's eyes when he saw Wang Kai fall to the ground. He swung his claws at Wang Kai again. Wang Kai, hurry up and admit defeat. Sensing the terrifying power of Liang Hang's claw, Thousand Dao Lu, who was outside the arena, immediately stood up and ordered loudly. His soul power surged, and he was ready to activate his soul skill at any time to control Liang Hang and end the battle. No, I haven't lost. Although Wang Kai was severely injured by Liang Hang's attack, he didn't feel any pain. On the contrary, an ancient instinct was awakening in his body. Shura's Blood Claw. Wang Kai stood up abruptly and wiped the wound on his chest with his claws, staining it with a layer of scarlet blood. Then, he said word by word. In the next second, Wang Kai's first black soul ring lit up again. He waved his blood-stained hands fiercely. Two blood-colored claws mixed with Wang Kai's blood erupted from where his claws intersected and flew towards Liang Hang. Same old trick again. A trace of disdain appeared in Liang Hang's eyes when he saw Wang Kai's counterattack. Even Wang Kai couldn't withstand his attack when he was at his peak, let alone when Wang Kai was severely injured. But in the next moment, Liang Hang's expression changed from disdain to shock and then to panic. The two blood-colored claws easily broke through his Annihilation Dragon Claw. Then, they cut through his scales like tofu and split his body into four. Plop! Liang Hang was once again unable to control his body and fell to the ground of the arena. Go to hell! Just as Wang Kai was about to stop, an indescribable feeling of brutality suddenly surged in his heart. He suddenly felt as if he had lost control of his body. With a casual wave of his hand, Shura's dragon-slaying spear flew from the ground of the soul dueling stage and stabbed towards Liang Hang. Stop right there! At this moment, the golden crocodile Doloa couldn't take it any more as he saw that his disciple was about to die under Wang Kai's spear. He roared and unleashed the aura of a titled Dolu. What's wrong with me? Under the golden crocodile Doloa's immense pressure, Wang Kai's mind shook. He finally regained control of his body. He couldn't help but take in a cold breath when he thought about his crazy actions. All right, I admit defeat on behalf of Liang Hang. Holy Lotus, quickly heal Liang Hang. The golden crocodile Doloa said anxiously. Liang Hang's body wasn't just torn in half by Wang Kai's, Shura's blood claw. Wang Kai's blood and murderous aura were also rapidly corroding Liang Hang's body. Liang Hang's injuries were worsening with every passing second. If he wasn't treated in time, his potential for advancement would be affected. In the worst case, he would be crippled or even killed. Emperor Shura's possession, deactivate. The battle had ended. At this moment, Wang Kai felt an indescribable sense of fatigue. This fatigue wasn't just physical and soul power fatigue. It was also mental and spiritual fatigue. As a result, he quickly deactivated his martial soul's possession. The scales, claws, and Shura's horn on his body slowly disappeared as he frantically absorbed the power of the earth to recover. Even though the results of the battle hadn't been announced yet, he, Wang Kai, was the undisputed winner of this Elders competition. Chapter 36. Defeated a strong foe, experience plus 100,000. Just as Wang Kai was about to disengage from Emperor Shura's possession, a sweet notification sounded in his mind. The reward for defeating a strong foe. Wang Kai's eyes lit up with joy when he heard the notification. In this battle with Liang Hang, not only did Wang Kai's combat prowess improve tremendously, but he also unlocked Emperor Shura's possession. His combat prowess had reached a whole new level. Now, he could even gain additional experience from this battle. This was naturally a joyous occasion for Wang Kai. However, why did Wang Kai not gain any experience from the previous 6 battles, and only gain experience from the 7th battle with Liang Hang? He could only attribute this to the word strong foe in the notification. It seemed like he could only gain experience from defeating a strong foe who was strong enough to threaten him. Stainless green lotus, great healing technique. Just as Wang Kai was thinking about the system's experience gain mechanism, the Holy Lotus Dola looked at Liang Hang, who had lost most of his vital signs. A solemn expression appeared on his face, and the projection of his green lotus martial soul appeared behind him. His 5th black soul ring flashed faintly. If Liang Hang was an ordinary person, he would have died on the spot after suffering such terrifying injuries. However, Liang Hang was a rank 43 soul ancestor after all. His martial soul was also a dragon martial soul, which had the strongest life force. That was why he barely managed to survive Wang Kai's attack. However, even so, healing Liang Hang's injuries wasn't something that could be done with just a single ray of healing light. A large green ball of light flew out from the pure green lotus behind the Holy Lotus Dolu. It flew in front of Liang Hang and slowly enveloped his body. Once Liang Hang's body entered the green ball of light, a sinister bloody figure appeared in the green ball of light, and a sizzling sound could be heard. But at the same time, under the envelopment of the massive healing energy, the corroded flesh on Liang Hang's hideous wounds began to be purified gradually. Granulation began to grow from the wounds. After a full 2 to 3 minutes, the new flesh continued to grow, and the wound on Liang Hang's body that had almost split him into 4 finally began to slowly close up. "Thank you, Your Majesty." The green ball of light slowly disappeared. Liang Hang looked at the new flesh in front of him and revealed a look of joy. He quickly thanked the Holy Lotus Dolu. The battle has ended. Wang Kai wins. Wang Kai has won all 7 battles. He is the final winner of the Elders competition. At this moment, the white-robed bishop finally walked up from below the stage and announced the result of the battle with astonishment in his eyes. The white-robed bishop wasn't the only one. All the titled Dolua present, including the rank 98 Transcendent Dolua Golden Alligator Dolua, couldn't accept this fact. Yes, Wang Kai, who was only a soul elder, had actually defeated Liang Hang, who was 11 ranks higher than him and had a top-notch dragon-type martial soul. How could this not be shocking? As expected of a god's martial soul, it was indeed extraordinary. At this moment the elders below the stage could only sigh in their hearts. Martial Soul Hall, Elders Hall, Sendoria's residence. Disciple, come, let's have a toast. This is the Golden Alligator's 7 Luminaries Green Lotus wine. There are less than 10 bottles produced every year. Today your performance was great. I reckon you took half of his reserve. Let us celebrate. As he spoke, Sendoria couldn't help but reveal an unkind smile on his face. It was as if he could already imagine the golden alligator Dolua being humiliated. Hee, you're still too inexperienced if you want to fight with me. After he finished speaking, Sendoryu picked up an exquisitely made small jade cup and poured half a cup of the Seven Luminaries green lotus wine into it before handing it to Wang Kai. Master, I'm still young. This wine doesn't taste good? If I accidentally get drunk, I won't be able to cultivate properly. Seeing Sendoryu hand over the wine cup, Wang Kai hurriedly declined. It's fine. This wine won't get you drunk. This golden alligator's Seven Luminaries green lotus wine isn't wine, but it's top-notch spirit juice. To a strong person like me, this Seven Luminaries green lotus wine is at most a delicacy. But to a low-level soul master like you, it's a treasure that aids your cultivation. Don't decline anymore. Sendoryu smiled as he explained to Wang Kai. Then it would be impolite for this disciple to refuse. After he finished speaking, Wang Kai took the wine cup from Sendoryu and drank it in one gulp. Disciple, properly guide the Seven Luminaries green lotus wine into your body. Don't let the soul power and life energy inside leak out. Seeing Wang Kai drink the Seven Luminaries green lotus wine, Sendoryu immediately said, Yes, master. After Wang Kai finished speaking, he immediately sat cross-legged, sank his chi into his dantian, and entered a state of cultivation. What a powerful life energy! Once the Seven Luminaries green lotus wine entered his mouth, Wang Kai didn't even have time to savor its taste. Before he could react, the wine quickly turned into an incomparably pure life energy that surged down his throat like a surging river. Then, it poured into Wang Kai's meridians like a raging wave. In less than a few seconds, that life energy had already spread through Wang Kai's meridians to Wang Kai's entire body. His skin also became incomparably red because of the incomparably majestic influx of energy. Of course, compared to the life energy when he absorbed the soul ring, this energy was undoubtedly countless times gentler. However, even compared to Wang Kai's 30th cycle of soul power tide, this energy was still more than 10 times stronger. Under the push of this life energy, Wang Kai's meridians were wildly expanding. The new soul power quickly poured into Wang Kai's body through his pores. Even some of the meridians that Wang Kai had never cultivated before were being expanded by this incomparably majestic life energy. It hurts. Feeling the slight tearing sensation all over his body, a drop of cold sweat slowly slid down Wang Kai's forehead. The corner of his mouth couldn't help but twitch. His handsome face was distorted at this moment, and traces of cold air could not help but seep out from the gaps between his teeth. It wasn't just the changes in his meridians. For Wang Kai, after being possessed by Emperor Shura, some restrictions in his body seemed to have been completely broken. At this moment, all the tissues and cells in his body were frantically absorbing this life energy, completing the deepest level of transformation and evolution. It could be said that Wang Kai was now in pain and joy. Chapter 37. Consumed 7 planets green lotus wine. Obtained 600,000 experience points. After half an hour, this boundless life energy finally began to slowly fade away. At this moment, Wang Kai heard a system notification. As expected of a titled Dolua's treasure. Even though Wang Kai had only drunk a small cup of the 7 planets green lotus wine, the experience he obtained was no less than killing a 10,000-year soul beast. Wang Kai couldn't help but look at the remaining half of the 7 planets green lotus wine in Sendoryu's hand with a burning look in his eyes. If he could consume the entire bottle of 7 planets green lotus wine, Wang Kai could obtain 10 million experience points. In this way, he could directly jump 2 ranks and become a rank 35 soul elder. Remaining experience points, 216,0000. Spent 2 million experience points to reach rank 33. Remaining experience points, 160,000. Just as Wang Kai was thinking, the system notification sounded in Wang Kai's mind again. Yes, with the help of a vast amount of experience points, Wang Kai's cultivation had successfully broken through. Right now, he was a rank 33 soul elder. Not only that, but Wang Kai's veins had also undergone a great evolution. Compared to before, they were much wider and tougher, and the amount of soul power they could hold had greatly increased. In addition, countless small veins in Wang Kai's body had been opened by the boundless energy brought about by the 7 planets' green lotus wine. Although these small veins couldn't hold much soul power each, the accumulation of countless small veins brought about an increase in Wang Kai's strength couldn't be underestimated. Furthermore, once these small veins were opened, the speed at which Wang Kai could transfer soul power in the future would undoubtedly increase by a lot. Naturally, he would have a greater advantage in battle. After his advancement, Wang Kai could clearly feel that the soul force flowing through his body had increased by nearly 10%, and the speed at which his body absorbed soul force had increased once again. Other than the changes to his soul force and tendons, Wang Kai's body had also been strengthened once more. The lines of his muscles had become more majestic and plump, and his strength, speed, and defense had all increased by a large amount. These changes were not only due to his advancement, but also due to the 7 luminaries' lotus brew Wang Kai had drunk. Now, Wang Kai was very confident that he could easily break through the profound heaven-suppressing art to the 31st soul tide, or even beyond that. Oh, he advanced just like that? Not bad. Sensing that Wang Kai's aura had suddenly increased by a large margin, Sendoria's eyes revealed a trace of joy as he stroked his beard and said slowly, "Yes, Master. I've become a class 33 soul exalt. The effects of this 7 luminaries lotus brew are simply too amazing." Wang Kai's eyes sparkled as he replied, "Indeed, this type of medicinal wine greatly increases a soul master's strength. However, every medicine has a side effect. Occasionally drinking this type of medicinal wine can indeed increase a soul master's soul force, and can even help a soul master break through a bottleneck and advance. However, if too much medicinal wine is consumed, it will only backfire and affect a soul master's future advancement." As if he had read Wang Kai's thoughts, Sendoryu explained plainly, "Master, I understand." Hearing Sendoria's words, the burning in Wang Kai's eyes lessened slightly. It seems that using this method to advance quickly won't work. Although this type of medicinal wine can't be drunk frequently, it's said that in the ancient Doloa continent there was a mysterious profession, a pill refiner. Legend has it that they could use mysterious methods to refine all sorts of heavenly treasures into incomparably miraculous pills. Unlike medicinal wine, these pills have a much better supporting effect on a soul master. Furthermore, even if they are consumed daily, they won't accumulate too much poison in a soul master's body. A look of yearning appeared in Sendoria's eyes as he continued, "These pills combine the attributes of all sorts of heavenly treasures. Not only can these heavenly treasures exhibit a miraculous effect of 1 + 1 is greater than 2, helping a soul master break through bottlenecks one after another. Furthermore, they can also eliminate the violent medicinal effects of the heavenly treasures. Even ordinary soul scholars can consume these pills, and the toxicity to the human body is reduced by more than 99%. Furthermore, these pills can not only increase a soul master's soul force, but also prolong their lifespan, increase their potential for evolution, strengthen their body, and many other miraculous effects. However, it's a pity that just like those ancient soul tool techniques, these pill refinement methods and pill recipes have long since disappeared into the dust of history. Now, unless there are some well-preserved ancient secret realms that may have some remnants of pills and pill recipes, I'm afraid that all information regarding pill refinement methods has been completely cut off from the Doloa continent." A look of regret appeared in Sendoria's eyes as he shook his head. Right now, the resources that exist on the Doloa continent to aid in cultivation are at most some medicinal powders, medicinal liquids, and other substitutes that have been modified from incomplete recipes. Although their effects are much better than directly consuming heavenly treasures, they're still only a simple mixture of heavenly treasures. They can't truly cause a reaction between heavenly treasures, and they can't extract the essence and remove the impurities. They can't even achieve a tenth of the miraculous effects of pills. However, even so, these incomplete recipes are still incomparably precious. For example, the Tai Cloudy Heaven liquid that you use for cultivation is disassembled from the pill recipe of the Tai Cloudy Heaven pill. Although its effects are definitely not as good as the legendary pills, it's still an extremely precious cultivation resource. After hearing Sendorio's words, a trace of joy appeared in Wang Kai's heart. Pill refinement? Although pill refinement methods might have been completely lost on the Dolua continent, Wang Kai remembered that there were books such as Introduction to Pill Refinement and True Pill Refinement for sale in the system store. It's said that in the ancient Dolua continent, with the help of pills, most of the limit Dolua could live up to 1,000 years old, and they had ample time to cultivate. Every few hundred years, there would be a titled Dolua who could break through the legendary Heavenman boundary and ascend the divine throne, ignite the divine fire, and become a god. It's a pity that pill refinement methods have been lost, and the advancement of soul masters and their lifespans are far inferior to before. There hasn't been a god on the Dolua continent for close to 10,000 years. Although I became a rank 99 exceptional Dolua when I was 100 years old, I still haven't made any progress in the past few decades. Perhaps only that guy can try to reach the realm of the gods. Sendorius seemed to have fallen into his own world as he began to talk to himself. Master? Oh, I lost my composure. After hearing Wang Kai's call, Sendorius shook off his sighs, and his eyes regained their determination. I'm old, but little Kai, you're still young. From you, I can see the hope of becoming a god. Perhaps you'll have the chance to become a god in the future. So work hard. Yes, master. Wang Kai replied respectfully. Alright, I got a little off topic just now. Sendoria's thoughts were finally pulled back to reality. He patted Wang Kai's shoulder and asked, Disciple, let me ask you now. What do you think of your performance in the Elders' competition today? Chapter 38. This disciple feels that my performance should be considered passable, right? Wang Kai thought for a while and answered truthfully. Yes, you can still maintain a calm state of mind after winning. Very good. Sendoria nodded, then said with a serious face, If it was any ordinary soul master who could perform so well without special training, I would definitely call him a genius. However, as my disciple, Sendoriu, and as the future holy son and successor of the martial spirit hall, your previous battle can be said to be full of loopholes. This disciple does not know. Please enlighten me, master. Wang Kai hurriedly said modestly. Then let me explain it to you in detail. For example, in a battle between soul masters, the key point is to use your advantage to attack your weakness. Take the battle between you and Xing Long's disciple, Wang Hao, for example. You are an assault-type soul master, and he is a control-type soul master. However, you actually did not take the initiative to attack. Instead, you only passively counterattacked. This violated a great taboo in a battle between soul masters. If you had taken the initiative to attack, as long as you could get close to him, you would have easily defeated him in less than 10 moves. You would not have wasted so much time and soul power. Another example is that your control of your soul skills is too rough. The same soul skill, if you hit the enemy in different places, the damage caused would naturally be different. For example, in the battle between you and Fu Kong, his martial soul is the rock spirit. If I were you, I definitely wouldn't try to use physical attacks on him. Furthermore, when I attacked, I wouldn't choose to attack his chest, which has the strongest defense. I understand, master. Sendoriu repeatedly pointed out several areas where Wang Kai's battle was lacking. Only then did he slowly stop. Wang Kai was convinced and nodded repeatedly. Yes, being able to accept your own shortcomings with an open mind is not bad, but it is far from enough. As the successor of our martial spirit hall, one of the future masters of the Doloa continent, you will definitely have conflicts with the two great empires, the three great sects, and various other hidden powers. You have to be powerful enough to be qualified for this position and win more glory and resources for the martial spirit palace. Therefore, from now on, after every night of practice, you will need to undergo special combat training to improve your combat ability. Do you understand? Sendoryu ordered sternly. I understand, Master. Wang Kai nodded in agreement. All right, little Kai, that's all for your future plans. Now I want to ask about your martial soul true body. I can tell that your martial soul true body is very powerful. You can definitely rival an ordinary Soul King after you release it. However, there seems to be a certain problem with your martial soul true body. When you release your martial soul true body, you lose a portion of your consciousness, right? Sendoryu continued to ask. Yes, Master. Wang Kai answered honestly. Yes, I can tell too. Your performance back then was simply too strange. Shura is bloodthirsty, and Shura's power contains a large amount of murderous aura. Right now, your strength and spiritual power might not be strong enough, so you will be affected to a certain extent. It's very normal. You don't have to be afraid because of this, and you don't have to be afraid to use your martial soul possession because of this. Of course, you are not allowed to use your martial soul possession on your own. In the future, I will personally inspect and guide you in your battles every week. When that time comes, you can use your martial soul possession on your own. With me around, you can use your martial soul possession to train without fear of losing control. Sendoryu continued. Yes, I will remember, Master. Wang Kai was still a little afraid when he thought about how he had lost control after releasing his martial soul possession. However, after hearing Sendoryu's words, he was once again certain of his future direction. Yes, no matter how strong Emperor Shura was, it was only his own martial soul. He was the only one who could control his martial soul. How could he be affected by his martial soul and become a mindless monster? However, to completely master the killing move of Emperor Shura's martial soul possession, one had to increase one's willpower, spiritual power, and strength. Secondly, one had to constantly train and adapt to the murderous aura that came with Emperor Shura's martial soul possession. Evening, Green Xian Hall. Let me see how far I can push the Taishian heaven-suppressing technique after advancing. After returning from Sendoryu's residence, Wang Kai went to the secret cultivation room alone. He sat cross-legged in his cauldron and began to cultivate. Unlike the average 6- or 7-year-old child, as a transmigrator, Wang Kai's mind was undoubtedly more mature. He deeply understood the importance of strength to himself. Furthermore, to him, who came from Earth, cultivating soul power was as exciting and interesting as playing video games in the past. There was no such thing as getting tired of it. It was already late today, so Chihiro Snow naturally wouldn't come to cultivate with him. However, when he thought about how he could continue to cultivate with Chihiro Snow, this cute little loli, in the same room tomorrow, Wang Kai couldn't help but feel a little excited. However, cultivation was the most important thing. In less than half a minute, he had already completely abandoned all distracting thoughts. His heart was as calm as still water, and his will guarded his soul. Soul power vortex rise. Wang Kai's soul power surged all over his body. In less than 5 minutes, the first soul power vortex had already slowly formed at the position of his heart. Soul power tide. Like a magnet, Wang Kai crazily absorbed the soul force in the secret room. Furthermore, he crazily accumulated the soul force in his body. Wave after wave of soul force pushed the soul force in his tendons and meridians, forming one tide after another. The first cycle, the second cycle, the 30th cycle. After consuming the 7 planets' green lotus wine, countless branches of Wang Kai's tendons and meridians were opened up. The speed of absorbing soul power also increased once again. This time, it only took 2 hours for Wang Kai to successfully push the soul power tide to the 30th cycle. Before consuming the 7 planets' green lotus wine, Wang Kai's limit was only the 30th cycle of soul power tide. However, after being possessed by Emperor Shura and consuming the 7 planets' green lotus wine, Wang Kai's physique and the width and toughness of his tendons and meridians had greatly increased. The many branches of his meridians that had opened up in his body were also able to accommodate more soul power. After completing the 30th cycle of soul power tide, Wang Kai still felt that he had quite a lot of energy left. Continue. The 31st cycle of soul power tide begin. With a thought, Wang Kai crazily absorbed the soul power from the outside world. The soul power in his body continued to accumulate and finally formed a new soul power tide. I still have energy left again. After completing the 31st cycle of soul power tide, Wang Kai was pleasantly surprised to find that the capacity of his tendons and meridians had yet to reach the limit. Therefore, he continued to gather soul power and pushed a new soul power tide. The vigorous soul power tide surged in Wang Kai's body and completed another cycle of soul power tide. New soul power continuously poured into Wang Kai's body. Finally, he also felt that the tendons and meridians in his body were slightly swollen. I've reached my limit again. However, it's already pretty good to be able to push 2 more layers of the soul power tide. Wang Kai rejoiced in his heart as he slowly dispersed the soul power tide and soul power vortex. Chapter 39. Cultivating Taishan Heaven Suppressing Technique. Experience plus 70,000. Wang Kai's soul power calmed down as he slowly climbed out of the cauldron. At this moment, the system notification sounded in his mind. 70,000 experience? Not bad, I can get another 20,000 experience every time I cultivate in the future. Wang Kai thought to himself as he put on his clothes, looks like I only need about 40 days to accumulate 3 million experience and advance to rank 34. However, the speed of my advancement will only get slower and slower, so I have to continue working hard. Big brother Wang Kai, I'm here. At noon the next day, Wang Kai had just finished his lunch when he heard a crisp and cute voice coming from not too far away. Oh, little Shui, you're here so early today? Wang Kai smiled as he got up to greet her. Yes. I didn't see big brother Wang Kai yesterday, so I came early today. Chihiro Snow said as she shook her head. Oh, I was dragged by your grandfather to compete with the disciples of the other elders yesterday afternoon, so I didn't stay in the Green Xian Hall to cultivate. Wang Kai explained at this moment. Grandfather told little Shui too. I heard that big brother Wang Kai defeated all of those disciples. Big brother Wang Kai is really amazing. Chihiro Snow's voice carried a bit of admiration. Little Shui will definitely not be afraid of them when she grows up a few years later. Wang Kai rubbed Chihiro Snow's forehead and said gently, It's getting late, let's go cultivate now. In the future, I still have to do battle training every night, so I have to hurry up and cultivate. I got it. It just so happens that little Shui was cultivating the 8th soul tide of the Taishan Heaven Suppressing Technique yesterday and encountered some problems. Today, I can finally ask big brother Wang Kai for advice. I feel that compared to asking grandfather, big brother Wang Kai's explanation will be much clearer. Chihiro Snow replied with a smile. Okay, let's go together. After speaking, Wang Kai pulled Chihiro Snow's white and delicate hand and walked towards the secret cultivation room. Evening, Martial Soul Sacred City's secret training ground. Wang Kai, I will be your battle training instructor for the next few years or even longer. Li Ning, level 78 Battle Soul Sage, Martial Soul, Tiger Soul Saber. Under my command, you'll learn how to precisely control every bit of your soul force. You'll learn how to perfectly control your soul skills to kill your enemies. You'll learn how to effectively dodge attacks and defend yourself. Furthermore, you'll personally fight soul beasts and soul masters until you've become a qualified soul battle master. After finishing his soul power training, Wang Kai arrived at the underground training room in the martial soul holy city. A middle-aged man with fair skin and black robes spoke in a cold voice. "You're right. Hello." Wang Kai bowed respectfully to Li Ning. Although he was Sendoria's direct disciple, as the peerless Doluo and the great consecrator of the martial soul palace, Sendoryu also needed to cultivate and deal with some of the important decisions of the martial soul palace. It was already very difficult for him to guide him once a month or even once a week. As for the specific training, it could only be done by other members of the martial soul palace. Okay, let's not talk nonsense. First, let's begin the physical training. A strong physique is very important to any soul master. Not only can it directly increase a soul master's combat strength, it can also indirectly increase a soul master's cultivation speed. Your first task today is to not use any soul power, carry 50 kilograms of weight, and run 10 laps around this training ground. Do you understand? Li Ning said loudly. I understand. Wang Kai nodded and then asked calmly, Then, may I ask where the weights are? Here. Seeing how obedient Wang Kai was, Li Ning's eyes flashed with a strange light. He took out a set of fine iron armor from his back and threw it to Wang Kai. As a soul sage, Li Ning was in charge of training the descendants or disciples of the martial soul palaces titled Dolu. They were usually very talented, but they were very resistant to this kind of physical training. He didn't expect Wang Kai to be so obedient. It's so heavy. Wang Kai's arm was slightly numb when he caught the armor that was flying towards him. However, he quickly put on the armor. Okay, let's begin. Remember, you're not allowed to use any soul power. Otherwise, the laps will be invalid. I'm very sensitive, so don't try to slack off in front of me. Li Ning reminded Wang Kai when he saw that he was ready. Wang Kai nodded and started running. This training ground wasn't very big. One lap was only about 500 meters. Normally, Wang Kai could easily run 10 laps of 5,000 meters. However, Wang Kai wasn't allowed to use soul power now, and he was wearing heavy armor. Although he had the power of the earth to replenish his physical strength, he started to slow down in less than 3 laps. His body also started to ache. Huff, huff, I'm really too weak if I don't use soul power and just rely on my physical strength, Wang Kai thought to himself as he slowly walked forward. 4 laps, 5 laps, 6 laps. Wang Kai's speed slowed down bit by bit. Every time he lifted his leg, it became extremely heavy. Bean-sized beads of sweat flowed down his face and body like rain. However, he gritted his teeth and persevered. Yes, even Shrek's 7 monsters could endure this kind of physical training. Why couldn't Wang Kai do it? Could it be that he, who had a god's martial soul, couldn't beat those fellows who only had innate full soul power? Furthermore, Wang Kai knew very well that this kind of training would definitely be beneficial to his future cultivation and fighting. Cultivating the mysterious heaven suppression technique would create an enormous pressure on the body and meridians. Being able to increase the quality of one's body would undoubtedly be of great help to the cultivation of the mysterious heaven suppression technique. Looking at Wang Kai, Li Ning's eyes revealed a trace of admiration. 50 kilograms. This was a weight that only soul ancestors and soul kings could endure during training. If not for Sendoria's orders, he definitely wouldn't have rashly given Wang Kai such a frightening amount of training. Originally, he thought that Wang Kai wouldn't be able to endure more than 5 laps. However, Wang Kai was actually able to endure it. 9 laps, 10 laps. Wang Kai's speed for the last 2 laps was already comparable to the old lady's walking speed. However, he still relied on his own strength to advance step by step. Instructor, I've completed the training. Wang Kai took large strides and crossed the finish line. He heaved a sigh of relief and spoke as if a heavy burden had been lifted from his shoulders. At this moment, his body was already drenched in sweat. All the muscles in his body were trembling slightly, and he was on the verge of collapse. However, he still used the last of his strength to take off his armor and throw it to the ground. Beginning physical training. Experience plus 5,000. At this moment, the system's notification sounded in Wang Kai's ears. Not bad. Hearing the notification, Wang Kai nodded in satisfaction. Being able to gain experience from this kind of training that didn't involve soul power was a pleasant surprise. Very good. Li Ning nodded in satisfaction. He pointed to a large wooden tub behind him and said, "Now, recover in the medicinal bath for half an hour. Once you've recovered your strength, we'll begin the second training session." Chapter 40. Yes. Wang Kai nodded and immediately jumped into the wooden barrel. Immediately, an incomparably pure life energy surged out of the barrel and entered Wang Kai's body through his pores. Although the Dolua continent's alchemy techniques had been lost, techniques like using medicinal herbs, the blood of soul beasts, and other natural treasures to refine medicinal powders or elixirs still existed. The elixir that Wang Kai was currently enjoying was probably one of them. Although the elixir's effects were definitely not comparable to those of pills, compared to directly consuming natural treasures or bathing in the blood of soul beasts, the elixir's effects were undoubtedly gentler, and the efficiency of absorption and the final effects were also stronger. So comfortable! Feeling the cold aura crazily rushing into his body, Wang Kai only felt the soreness in his body suddenly disappear. All the muscles in his body also began to slowly absorb this life energy, recovering and strengthening themselves. Unlike the Tai Cloudy Heaven liquid, the elixir that Wang Kai used this time did not have the effect of recovering tendons and increasing the absorption of soul power. On the contrary, it focused more on recovering physical strength and strengthening the body. Alright, replenish your water. It's time to continue training. Following Li Ning's reminder, Wang Kai climbed out of the wooden barrel and drank an entire cup of warm saline water that Li Ning passed to him, preparing for the next stage of training. After continuously absorbing the elixir and the power of the earth, Wang Kai still felt a faint soreness in his body, but his physical strength had already been completely recovered. Alright, our next training is strength training. Follow me. After saying that, Li Ning picked up the metal armor and walked in front, bringing Wang Kai to a corner of the training ground where many stone weights were piled up. Just like endurance, great strength is very important to most soul masters. This is especially so for an assault-type soul master like you. Your body is your best weapon, so it's very important to carry out the necessary strength training to increase your strength. Now, put on the metal armor. Li Ning instructed indifferently. Very good. Now watch my movements. Seeing Wang Kai put on the armor, Li Ning lay on the ground, bent his arms, and pressed his body close to the ground. Then, he propped himself up with his hands again. This movement is called a push-up. It can train all the muscles in your body. Now, let me explain the essentials of its movements. Li Ning explained as he demonstrated. Did you see it clearly? After the introduction, Li Ning asked loudly. I understand. Wang Kai nodded. Very good. Now, 3 sets of push-ups, 50 push-ups per set. Take a 5-minute break in between. Don't slack off. Let's begin. Li Ning gave Wang Kai the next order. Yes. After saying that, Wang Kai lay on the ground and started training. Normal push-ups wouldn't have been a problem for a soul exalt like Wang Kai. But now that he was wearing a 50-kilogram heavy armor, every time he bent his arms to push himself up, it was a terrifying torment for him to endure. 1, 2, 3 After less than 20 push-ups, Wang Kai's armor was once again drenched in sweat. The muscles in his chest and arms were sore, but he still clenched his teeth and continued one after another. Every time he trained his muscles, it was a tempering process. Although there might not be immediate results, Wang Kai believed that as long as he continued training, his strength would continue to increase, and his battle prowess would also gradually increase. Push-ups with weights, stone weights, squats with weights. After a total of 5 types of strength training, Li Ning instructed Wang Kai to absorb the medicinal liquid and rest. Along with the massive influx of life energy, the muscles and tendons in Wang Kai's body that had been torn apart due to training rapidly grew and regenerated. At the same time, strands of soul power continuously fused into Wang Kai's body that had been trained, causing them to become even more resilient and powerful. Very good. Next, we will begin agility training. Although you are not an agility type or support type soul master, as an assault type soul master, agility is still very important to your battle. In battle, a soul master's soul power is very precious. Therefore, if you can avoid an attack, don't take it head-on. Now, our task is to begin the initial training of your agility and coordination. After saying that, Li Ning brought Wang Kai to a row of crooked wooden stakes on the other side of the training ground. There were hundreds of them, and then he introduced, "This is where you will train your agility in the future. Alright, watch my movements." After saying that, Li Ning jumped onto the first wooden stake. Shortly after, he tapped left and right lightly, repeatedly jumping horizontally, and jumped onto the last wooden stake on the opposite side. Did you see it clearly? Now try it. Remember, when you jump, you must pass by every single wooden stake, and you are not allowed to miss a single one. Li Ning said slowly. Don't I need to wear the armor? Wang Kai asked, somewhat perplexed. No need. You mustn't underestimate these wooden stakes. The angles of these wooden stakes have been specially designed to test the human body's coordination to the greatest extent. It's not as easy as you think to jump over. Furthermore, these wooden stakes are coated with the fat of the 10,000-year ethereal Arctic whale. It's extremely smooth, and if I'm not careful, I might fall off. When you can walk over as easily as me, then you can think about carrying weights. Li Ning's voice carried a hint of pride. Alright, then I'll start. Looking at the wooden stakes in front of him, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a hint of disdain. It's just a row of small wooden stakes, what's so difficult about stepping over them? Plop. However, as soon as he started to try, Wang Kai knew that his previous idea was completely wrong. After just 5 steps, he flipped over and fell heavily from the wooden stake. How is this possible? Looking at the ordinary wooden stakes in front of him, Wang Kai's eyes revealed a hint of astonishment. I've said it before, it's not that easy to pass through these wooden stakes. You have to control your center of gravity, as well as the angle and strength of each jump, so that you don't fall from above. Alright, get up and continue training. Li Ning explained indifferently. Yes. Wang Kai climbed up from the ground and stood on the first wooden stake. Plop, plop. Wang Kai fell over again and again, but every time he fell, Wang Kai was able to take a few more steps than before. Very quickly, Wang Kai was able to walk close to 100 steps on the wooden stakes. And not bad, your basic skills and comprehension are considered passable. However, tonight's agility training ends here. Wang Kai fell once again. At this moment, Li Ning's cold voice sounded. It's getting late. Tonight's combat training is over. Tomorrow, I'll bring you through soul power training, including soul power control training, soul skill release training, and actual combat training. Then, see you tomorrow. I understand. Goodbye, instructor. Wang Kai nodded, looking forward to tomorrow's combat training even more. Chapter 41. Wang Kai, I'll be conducting soul power training for you tonight. In the future, you'll be alternating soul power training and physical body training on alternate days. The next night, Wang Kai had just entered the training room when Li Ning's voice rang out. I understand, teacher. Good. First, we'll have to conduct soul power control training. This will be the foundation for all subsequent training. As a soul master, Meticulous control of soul power is the foundation for the perfect release of soul skills and the best effect of soul skills. Of course, every soul master can use their thoughts and spirit to control their soul power. However, I'll be teaching you how to control even the tiniest strand of soul power in your body to achieve the most perfect control of soul power. Time flowed. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. After 2 months of painstaking training, Wang Kai's physique, strength, and agility had undergone earth-shattering changes. Now, the weight he carried during physical body training had increased from 50 kilograms to 80 kilograms. The stone weights he used for strength training had also increased from 100 kilograms to 150 kilograms. At the same time, his physique had also become more robust and masculine with each training session. As for agility, on the 9th day, which was also the 5th round of physical body training, Wang Kai had already successfully crossed all the wooden stakes and reached the last wooden stake on the opposite shore. Now, he carried 20 kilograms of weight during agility training. Furthermore, the positions of the wooden stakes he trained on every day were no longer the same. After every training session, Li Ning would rearrange the angles of all the wooden stakes to train Wang Kai's reaction to different situations in actual combat. Of course, this kind of training was still far from passing. According to Li Ning's words, only by carrying 50 kilograms of weight and continuously swaying the wooden stakes under the pressure of a soul sage could one's agility and coordination be considered to have reached the preliminary standards. Other than the rapid improvement of his body, Wang Kai's soul power cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. As the quality of his body continued to improve, Wang Kai was pleasantly surprised to discover that his tolerance towards soul power was also rapidly increasing. In just 2 months, he had already pushed through 2 consecutive waves of soul power tides, reaching the 34th wave. Now, his cosmic heaven-suppressing art was only 2 tides away from the 4th level of perfection. Moreover, every time he cultivated the cosmic heaven-suppressing art, he gained 80,000 experience points. On the 40th day of his training, Wang Kai was able to break through the bottleneck and become a Class 34 Soul Exalt. 2 months later, he was already a third of the way to becoming a Class 35 Soul Exalt. As Wang Kai's soul power increased by leaps and bounds, Chihiro Snow's soul power didn't fall behind either. Under Wang Kai's guidance, Chihiro Snow was able to successfully cultivate the first level of the cosmic heavens suppressing art to the perfection realm in just 9 months. At the same time, she was also able to break through to become a Class 25 Soul Grandmaster. Chihiro Snow's speed in cultivating the first level of the cosmic heavens suppressing art to the perfection realm was more than twice as fast as her grandfather. This was a pleasant surprise to Sendoryu. When he found out that Chihiro Snow's cultivation had been guided by Wang Kai, Sendoryu's face bloomed with a smile. To be able to have such a good disciple, a good grandson-in-law, and to be able to see how close the relationship between this young man and young woman was, how could he not be happy? Naturally, Qian Rinshue's worship and trust towards Wang Kai had deepened little by little under Wang Kai's guidance. Now, Qian Rinshue was like an obedient little rabbit in front of Wang Kai and in his arms. She didn't have the slightest bit of holiness and nobility in the eyes of others. Also, one simply couldn't see that this little lowly would become a legendary god in the future, high and mighty. While his body and cultivation continued to improve, Wang Kai's control over his soul power was also gradually becoming more and more meticulous as he continued to cultivate and train. Although Wang Kai had the god-tier martial souls Emperor Shura and the chaotic mountain and river cauldron, they couldn't increase Wang Kai's control over his soul power. When Emperor Shura fused with and possessed him, Wang Kai had indeed awakened his ancient bloodline memories. However, these memories were more to increase Wang Kai's fighting instincts and his ability to control his blood essence. They weren't very helpful in controlling soul power. It could be said that Wang Kai was still an amateur when it came to controlling soul power. He was completely relying on his innate talent to cultivate and fight. Of course, this didn't mean that Wang Kai couldn't control soul power. To him, after being modified by the infinite martial soul system, controlling soul power in his body was as easy as controlling his limbs. Compared to other soul masters of the same level, Wang Kai's ability to control soul power was outstanding. However, in the eyes of a soul sage like Li Ning and an exceptional Doloa like Sendoryu, Wang Kai's control of soul power was still a little rough. There were still many areas that he could improve on. Once he could make up for these flaws, Wang Kai's abilities would only reach a whole new level, whether it was in terms of cultivation or fighting. This was also what Wang Kai was doing during his training. Very good, Wang Kai. Now you've grasped the basics of controlling your soul power. Li Ning's eyes were filled with gratification as he watched Wang Kai demonstrate one complicated soul power technique after another. No wonder you're the head consecrator's disciple. Your talent is indeed far superior to all the elders' disciples that I've taught. Right now, I can say that your control of soul power has already reached a higher level. However, a master can only show you the way, but you have to cultivate it yourself. I can only teach you so much. If you want to improve further, you can only rely on grinding and training your soul power. Let your body and soul power become more compatible. Yes, I understand, teacher. Wang Kai nodded respectfully. Over the past 2 months, Li Ning had taught Wang Kai everything he knew. He didn't hold anything back. Coupled with Wang Kai's extraordinary perception after being modified, he was able to complete the training that other soul masters would need a year to complete in just 2 months. His control of soul power had also reached a new level. Therefore, Wang Kai was even more grateful and respectful to this seemingly cold and indifferent teacher of his. Yes, since your control of soul power is already up to standard, let's begin training on how to release soul skills. Control of soul power is the cornerstone of a soul master's strength. However, if a soul master wants to become truly strong, he can't just rely on soul power. He has to rely on perfect control of all his soul skills. He even has to create his own soul skills. In the past, when you release soul skills, you might only be following your instincts. However, how to release soul skills to unleash the greatest power, and how to perfectly control soul skills to attack your target, is also an art. This will also be the content that I'll teach you. After Li Ning finished speaking, a proud look flashed across his eyes. Although I'm limited by my talent, and may only be a soul sage or soul Doloa in this lifetime, and have no chance of becoming a titled Doloa, I believe that my control of soul power, releasing soul skills, and fighting soul masters can definitely be ranked in the top 10 of the entire Doloa continent. In fact, if you suppress your soul power to the same level as mine, many titled Doloa might not be my match. From today onwards, I'll teach you everything that I know. Alright, now, let's start from the essence of soul skills. After he finished speaking, Li Ning demonstrated as he explained. Chapter 42. What's the basis for releasing a soul skill? Why can a soul master release a soul skill? The answer to this question isn't complicated. As long as a soul master injects enough soul power into the corresponding soul ring, that soul ring can be activated. After that, they can use their spiritual power to locate the enemy and release the soul skill they have prepared. This may seem like something that every soul master can do as easily as drinking water or eating, but there's actually a certain pattern to the release of a soul skill. Firstly, when a soul master wishes to activate a soul ring, the amount of soul power they inject must exceed the minimum threshold. If the amount of soul power they inject doesn't reach this threshold, then the soul skill won't be able to be released. On the contrary, the soul master will lose a certain amount of soul power because of this. Of course, if the amount of soul power you inject reaches the threshold, then the more soul power you inject, the stronger the soul skill will be. However, a soul master's soul power is extremely precious. We naturally hope to use the least amount of soul power to release the most powerful soul skill. This is also a problem that many seniors and I have been researching. The consistent conclusion is this. Under the premise that the amount of soul power you inject into a soul ring is the same, the denser the soul power you inject into the soul ring, the more stable the process of inputting soul power, and the more evenly distributed the soul power you inject into the soul ring, the more powerful the soul skill you activate will be. Therefore, compared to violently injecting soul power into the soul ring and activating the soul skill, what I want to teach you is how to use the least amount of soul power to release the most powerful soul skill, and how to control it. These are the foundations of becoming a powerful soul master. Of course, these skills can't be separated from your perfect control of soul power. Next, let's talk about controlling soul skills. The most important part of this is a soul master's spiritual power. The stronger a soul master's spiritual power, the more accurate their soul skill release will be. However, under the premise that there's a certain amount of spiritual power, the locking on of a soul skill can also be trained. How to use all of your spiritual power to lock on to those hidden, fast-moving, and long-distance enemies will be the main point of my training. Furthermore, there's a very important point when it comes to the release of soul skills. Most soul masters can only lock onto their targets once when they release their soul skills. Ignoring them after releasing their soul skills is actually a bad habit. A qualified soul battle master must be able to use their spiritual power to control the soul skill before the enemy can use it to lock on and aim a second time. Only then can the enemy have no way to dodge and unleash the soul skill's greatest power. However, there's a serious problem with this. In a battle, soul masters can't focus on one soul skill. They have to continuously release many soul skills. As a result, soul masters have to train their ability to multitask in order to release new soul skills and control old soul skills at the same time. Only then can they control their soul power to release new soul skills while using their spiritual power to control old soul skills that have already been released. Regarding this point, I have to admit that the Seven Treasures Glazed sect of the Three High Sects undoubtedly did the best. For other soul masters, they can only release one soul skill at a time. Even after special training, ordinary soul masters can only release and control two soul skills at a time. However, for those soul masters from the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, they have the heart of seven orifices. They can multitask and release and control multiple soul skills at the same time. This is also why they're known as the strongest auxiliary sect on the continent. When he mentioned the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, Li Ning's eyes flashed with a hint of hatred. He paused for a moment before continuing. In the past, even the top-notch secret techniques of the Martial Soul Hall could only allow one to multitask at a time. Furthermore, if one wanted to reach that level, one would need to continuously train hard for several years or even 10 years to achieve it. However, I've invented a secret technique that allows soul masters to easily multitask. This might have something to do with my background. My mother was an outer disciple of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect. Back then, she developed feelings for my father, who was a soul dolois, and eloped with him. After that, she gave birth to me. However, they were unfortunately separated by violence. My mother was taken back to the Seven Treasures Glazed sect, and I was entrusted to the Martial Soul Hall by my father, who was severely injured and passed away. I don't want to talk about what happened after that, but all in all, a part of the Seven Treasures Glazed sect's blood flows in my body. I also used the Heart of Seven Orifices secret technique to create a secret technique that allows soul masters to multitask more easily. This is also one of the things that I'll impart to you in the future. Multitask. After hearing this, Wang Kai's eyes flashed with a hint of passion. He, who had unlimited martial souls, needed a secret technique like this to unleash his strongest fighting strength. A secret technique like this is definitely a secret in the Seven Treasures glazed sect. However, they would never have thought that a bastard in their eyes would be able to decipher the technique that they treasured so much. The Seven Treasures glazed sect destroyed my family, and I want to destroy everything that belongs to them. After saying this, a hint of madness flashed across his eyes. However, he quickly stabilized his emotions and continued, "However, I'm not talented enough to do this. Hence, I can only place my hopes on the martial soul hall. Alright, let's talk about the essence of soul skills now. Regarding this question, the Dolua continent hasn't come to a conclusion yet. However, according to my research, the interior of a soul ring is actually similar to the soul tools that we create. It's actually a combination of solidified runes. As for the release of soul skills, a soul master injects his or her soul power into the soul ring. When the runes in these soul rings absorb enough soul power, they can draw upon the origin energy of heaven and earth, and interact with each other to form all sorts of mysterious soul skills. For soul rings, the older they are, the more runes there will be. This also explains why soul rings that are older are harder to control, and why they consume more energy to release, but are more powerful. Wang Kai nodded slightly as he listened. He had a deeper understanding of the essence and connection of soul power and soul skills. Similarly, I'm guessing that the reason why soul bones and domains can be supplemented with soul skills is the same. However, I'm not fated to obtain those divine items, but I think it's not difficult to make such a conjecture by analogy. Speaking of innate soul skills, some soul masters can actually create their own soul skills. These self-created soul skills are often imitations of innate runes. Furthermore, most self-created soul skills are just extensions of existing soul skills, increasing their strength. However, there are also genius soul masters who can create their own soul skills. These self-created soul skills are different from the soul skills that come with soul rings. They are often very powerful, and can be improved and strengthened as the soul master's strength increases. They can also catch the enemy off guard and catch them off guard. Other than self-created soul skills, soul masters also have other techniques that far exceed their rank. For example, soul ring fusion, soul skill fusion, martial soul fusion, and so on. As for the latter two, it's more of a coincidence, and it's very difficult to encounter them. However, the soul ring fusion technique is the knowledge that I'll impart and train. Alright, I'll end my introduction of the long period of training that we'll be doing in the future. Now, let's start with the technique of releasing soul skills. Now, watch carefully. After he finished speaking, Lin Ning's soul power surged as he continued to demonstrate. Chapter 43. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, another 3 months had passed. On this day, Wang Kai's 7th birthday had arrived. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed since he'd arrived on the Dolua continent. Wang Kai's cultivation, physique, and control of soul power were improving bit by bit as he cultivated day after day. Just 2 days ago, Wang Kai had successfully cultivated the Taishian Heaven Suppression technique to the Great Circle of the 4th level. His soul power had also broken through from rank 34 to rank 35, and was constantly approaching rank 36. Of course, Wang Kai wasn't very satisfied with his current cultivation speed. Even though he'd cultivated the Taishian Heaven Suppression technique to the Great Circle of the 4th level, he only gained 100,000 experience points every time he cultivated it. Wang Kai made a simple estimate. If he only relied on cultivation and training to gain experience points, he'd need at least a year to become a soul elder, and then a soul ancestor. However, before he obtained the ability to hunt 1,000-year soul beasts, or even 10,000-year soul beasts, it was best to cultivate and develop properly. Apart from the improvement of his cultivation, Wang Kai's physical fitness was also steadily improving from the comprehensive training he'd done every 2 days. Whether it was his strength, endurance, or agility, He couldn't be mentioned in the same breath as he'd been half a year ago. As for his control of soul power and control of soul skills, Wang Kai's various combat abilities had undergone an earth-shattering improvement under Li Ning's guidance. In the past, Wang Kai's use of soul skills could be said to be based on his instincts, and there wasn't any method to it. But now, after painstaking training, he'd reached a higher level in the way of releasing soul skills. Whether it was the accuracy or timing of releasing soul skills, they'd all reached a higher level. However, Wang Kai's cultivation of the most crucial secret technique, multitasking, had only broken through to the two-tasking realm. He was still far from the three-tasking realm or even the nine-tasking realm. However, even so, Wang Kai's cultivation speed had already made Li Ning gasp in amazement. Among all the disciples of the elders that he had taught, most of them needed 2 years or more before they could barely reach the level of multitasking. Even the most talented disciple that he had taught before had spent an entire year to reach the threshold of multitasking. As for Wang Kai, he had only spent 2 months to perfectly grasp the trick of multitasking. Wang Kai felt that the most meaningful gain in the past 6 months was that, with the help of Sendoryu, he had successfully controlled Emperor Shura's murderous aura and had basically mastered the killer move of Emperor Shura's possession. As long as the possession didn't last more than 10 minutes, he could perfectly control his body without being affected by the murderous aura. Even if this period was extended to half an hour, he was confident that he wouldn't completely lose control. After a year of hard work, Wang Kai already had a certain level of self-protection. Once he used Emperor Shura's possession, ordinary Soul Kings wouldn't be his match. However, he was also clear that compared to a true expert, his current strength couldn't even withstand a single blow. As long as a Soul Sage came, it would be enough to completely suppress him. As the future Holy Son of the Martial Spirit Hall, Wang Kai also understood the pressure and burden on his shoulders. If he wanted to protect himself and Chihiro Snow, and completely control the Martial Spirit Hall, he could only rely on his continuous cultivation and improvement. However, although cultivation was very important on this rare day, Wang Kai was finally prepared to have a good rest. He wanted to relax his tense emotions and enjoy a rare moment of leisure. Brother Wang Kai, happy birthday! Wang Kai's consciousness was still a little blurry. At this moment, Chihiro Snow's crisp voice sounded from beside the bed. Oh, Schwerer, you're really early today. Wang Kai sat up from the bed and stroked Chihiro Snow's hair as he smiled and greeted Chihiro Snow. Of course. Brother Wang Kai, didn't you say yesterday that today is your birthday and you're going to rest for a day? You even promised to play with Jianxue, so I came early. Chihiro Snow shook her head as she explained. Yes, Schwerer, thank you. Wang Kai pinched Chihiro Snow's cheek. It's rare that I have time today, so I can spend more time with you. So, Jianxue, do you want to go somewhere to play? Let's go together. Grandpa said that I can't leave Martial Soul Saint City. So, Brother Wang Kai, how about you bring me to play in Martial Soul Saint City? Chihiro Snow asked as she pulled Wang Kai's arm. Of course, if Schwerer wants to go, I'm willing to accompany you. Oh, right, Schwerer, have you had breakfast? Wang Kai asked gently as he took the clothes from the two maids. As a disciple of Sendoryu, Wang Kai's daily clothes were naturally made by the best craftsmen using the best materials. Coupled with Wang Kai's tall and straight figure and unique temperament, it made him look even more handsome. I've eaten at Grandpa's place, Chihiro Snow replied briskly. But, if Brother Wang Kai is willing to feed me, it's not impossible for me to eat a little more with you. Forget it, Schwerer, since you've already eaten, don't force yourself. If you eat too much, you'll get fat. Let's go. After dressing up, Wang Kai held Chihiro Snow's delicate wrist and prepared to go downstairs. Brother Wang Kai, wait a moment. Today, Jianxue has a special gift for you as your birthday present. Chihiro Snow gently pulled Wang Kai's arm. Oh, Jianxue wants to give me a present? I'm looking forward to it. Wang Kai touched Chihiro Snow's hair and said with a smile. Brother Wang Kai, please close your eyes first. Chihiro Snow's seductive voice sounded like a fairy's. Okay, I'll close my eyes. Wang Kai obediently closed his eyes and said. The next moment, he felt a slight wetness on the right side of his face, as if something was leaning on it. Moo off. Chihiro Snow's cherry lips gently kissed Wang Kai's face. Okay, Brother Wang Kai, you can open your eyes now. Do you like Jianshue's gift? Chihiro Snow looked at Wang Kai with her small eyes, waiting for his reply. Of course, I like Shui-er's gift very much. When it's Shui-er's birthday, do you want the same gift? Wang Kai asked with a smile. If brother likes it, then Shui-er will be very happy. Chihiro Snow's lips curled up slightly. But if brother Wang Kai returns the gift today, Jianshue will be even happier. Of course, Shui-er. But when I give you the gift, you can do it even if you don't want to close your eyes. Wang Kai's middle finger rubbed Chihiro Snow's fair and tender face as he replied with a smile. Chihiro Snow answered firmly. Then, she raised her head high and looked at Wang Kai eagerly. Okay, let's go. Wang Kai nodded and kissed Chihiro Snow's forehead gently. Then, he pulled her arm and walked towards the dining room. Chapter 44. As Sendoryo's direct disciple, Wang Kai's rations were naturally of the highest quality in the martial spirit hall. When he arrived at the dining hall, a few young female servants immediately served plates of exquisite food that emitted a tempting aroma. Young master, please enjoy your meal. The maids bowed and retreated one after another. Yes, I'm hungry again. Although Wang Kai had recovered his strength after the night's training, he still needed to eat properly to maintain his strength after a night of exhaustion. To a soul master, the price of a strong body and soul power was naturally a greater desire for food. Apart from those who had advanced to titled Doluo and obtained the ability to absorb the soul power of heaven and earth and convert it into life energy, every high-level soul master was a glutton. There had always been an unspoken saying in the world of soul masters: a soul master who doesn't know how to eat can't become a powerful soul master. Of course, to Wang Kai, although he wasn't a titled Doluo, he could still absorb the earth's soul power and convert it into life energy. Even if he didn't eat for a long time, he could still survive. However, compared to that, Wang Kai was naturally more willing to enjoy such delicious food. Furthermore, every meal he ate was prepared by a top-notch chef, and all of the ingredients came from 1,000-year or even 10,000-year soul beasts, as well as all sorts of heavenly treasures. Not only could they fill his stomach, but they could also slowly and subtly improve his constitution and talent. The fragrant chicken soup made from a huge amount of spirit herbs and the flesh of a 10,000-year blazing seven-headed bird, the grilled steak made from the ribs of a 1,000-year golden nirvana bull, the toasted bread made from the millet of a 1,000-year spirit rice. All kinds of expensive food disappeared in Wang Kai's black hole-like mouth. As more than half of the ingredients on the table disappeared, he finally felt a little bloated and burped. All right, Shui-er, let us go. Wang Kai patted his stomach and stood up. Yes, brother Wang Kai. At this moment, Chihiro Snow also obediently held onto Wang Kai's arm and followed behind him. Martial Spirit Holy City, Zero Commercial Street. As the third-largest city on the Doluo continent after the Heaven Do Empire and the Star Luo Empire's capital, the Martial Soul Holy City's inner and outer cities had flourishing businesses aside from the Pontiff's Palace, the Elder Palace, and the Martial Soul Temple. Furthermore, most of the residents of Martial Soul Saint City were soul cultivators. Compared to the commoners without soul force, Martial Soul Saint City was far more prosperous than either of the two great empires. As Sendoryo's precious granddaughter, Chihiro Snow didn't have the chance to leave the core area of the Martial Spirit Hall. As such, she strongly requested Wang Kai to bring her to the largest commercial street in the Martial Spirit Saint City, Zero Commercial Street. Although Chihiro Snow was the granddaughter of the Martial Spirit Hall's head consecrator, Sendoryu, who possessed the six-winged angel. She was still a little girl who was a month away from 7 years old. She still had a strong, playful heart. Naturally, she had a strong interest in the bustling commercial street. On the busy street, a handsome young man wearing the uniform of a special deacon of the Martial Spirit Hall was strolling. Beside him, a blonde girl in a white palace dress was holding his arm. Needless to say, they were Wang Kai and Chihiro Snow, who had left the core area of Martial Soul Holy City. Although they had left the core area of Martial Soul Holy City, the outer area of Martial Soul Holy City was one of the areas that the Martial Spirit Hall had the most control over. Sendoryu didn't have to worry too much about Chihiro Snow and Wang Kai's safety. As such, he naturally didn't object to such activities between the younger generation. Moreover, although they were in the outer area of the city, Wang Kai and Chihiro Snow were less than 5 kilometers away from the Elder Hall where Sendoryu was. Even if something urgent happened, Sendoryu could quickly rush over. However, just in case, he still sent a white-robed bishop to protect the two of them from afar. "Brother Wang Kai, this is so beautiful." Qian Rinxue walked to a shop with all kinds of sparkling and translucent ornaments displayed in the window. Her eyes were immediately attracted by the sparkling ornaments under the sunlight. Her pair of beautiful eyes sparkled. "Yes, they're very beautiful. Do you want them, Rinxue?" Wang Kai replied with a smile. Although Wang Kai wasn't interested in these fancy accessories, he wasn't stupid enough to say his true thoughts since Chihiro Snow liked them. "Of course. Which one do you think is the most beautiful, Brother Wang Kai?" Chihiro Snow smiled after hearing Wang Kai's reply. She looked very lovable. "Let me see. For example, this one?" Wang Kai looked around and pointed at a crystal wind chime in the middle of the window. It was very clear under the sunlight. "Yes, Brother Wang Kai, can you buy a wind chime for me?" Chihiro Snow revealed a bright smile as she leaned on Wang Kai's arm. "Of course." Wang Kai walked into the shop and came to the counter after he finished speaking. "Boss, I'll buy the wind chime in the middle. May I know how much it costs?" "Oh, honorable customer, are you talking about the plum moon wind chime? It's made of precious crystals, and the inside is hollowed out by a master sculptor. It forms a plum blossom and a crescent moon. It's not cheap. It's a total of 500 gold soul coins." The shop owner sized up Wang Kai's appearance. Although Wang Kai looked a little young, from his temperament and tone, he did not seem like an ordinary person. And from the clothes of the little girl behind him, he could tell that she was either rich or respectable. She did not seem like someone who was looking for trouble. Therefore, although the price of this plum moon wind chime was not cheap, he still answered patiently. 500 gold soul coins? Okay, I'll buy it." After he finished speaking, Wang Kai took out 5 gold notes with a face value of 100 gold soul coins each and placed them on the counter. To an ordinary family on the Dolua continent, 1 gold soul coin was enough to cover their expenses for several months. A soul master could only enjoy 1 gold soul coin a month. However, to Wang Kai, who was the chosen holy son of the Martial Spirit Hall, a single breakfast cost him several hundred gold soul coins. Naturally, he didn't care about 500 gold soul coins. Other than the resources allocated, Wang Kai's monthly allowance was 10,000 gold soul coins. Before he left the Green Xian Hall, he asked the housekeeper to take 100 gold notes with a face value of 100 gold soul coins each and brought them with him. "Okay, customer." Seeing Wang Kai take out the gold notes, the shop owner's eyes revealed a trace of joy. He was constantly rejoicing that he didn't lose his cool and chase away this god of wealth in front of him. "Customer, do you want me to help you pack up the wind chime?" After putting away the gold notes, the shop owner continued to ask politely. "No need, I'll go get it myself." The shop owner nodded. Immediately after, Wang Kai took out the plum moon wind chime from the center of the display window and gently put it on Chihiro Snow's snow-white neck. "Shue is even prettier." Wang Kai smiled as he gently touched Chihiro Snow's delicate head and praised her. Yes, thank you, big brother Wang Kai. After hearing Wang Kai's words, Chihiro Snow's little face couldn't help but blush slightly. The strength she used to hold Wang Kai's arm also increased slightly. Chapter 45. Big brother Wang Kai, this looks delicious. Big brother Wang Kai, that performance looks so interesting. Can you take me in to have a look? Big brother Wang Kai, this and this. Throughout the morning and afternoon, Wang Kai took Chihiro Snow to play in Zero Commercial Street. Chihiro Snow's face was full of happy smile. Evening, profound azure mansion. Usually, after finishing her cultivation, Chihiro Snow would go back to her mansion for dinner. But tonight, she made an exception and stayed to have dinner with Wang Kai in profound azure mansion. Big brother Wang Kai, today is your birthday. Xiaoxue wants to feed you personally, is that okay? The sumptuous meal was served one by the maids. At this time, Chihiro Snow suddenly whispered in Wang Kai's ear. Feed me personally? Of course. Although a little strange why Chihiro Snow suddenly had the idea of feeding him, but since it was her good intention, Wang Kai naturally had no reason to refuse. Being fed by such a cute little girl, whether it was in Wang Kai's previous life or in Dolua continent, it was a new experience. At this time, Chihiro Snow immediately moved closer to Wang Kai's face with a ball of rice in her mouth. Xiaoxue, what are you doing? Wang Kai asked with some confusion. Big brother Wang Kai, Xiaoxue is going to feed you. Come, open your mouth. With the rice in her mouth, Chihiro Snow's voice became a little bit childish, and she looked very cute. Okay. Wang Kai was very obedient and opened his mouth. Qian Rinxue flicked the tip of her tongue gently, and the full spiritual rice ball mixed with the girl's spirit liquid slid into Wang Kai's mouth with a slurp sound. Coupled with the exotic fragrance from Qian Rinxue's mouth, the already fragrant and delicious taste of the spiritual rice balls left Wang Kai with a rich aftertaste. Big brother Wang Kai, you don't want Xiaoxue to feed you like this? At this time, seemingly aware of Wang Kai's strange expression, Chihiro Snow's beautiful eyes showed a trace of sadness, and she shook Wang Kai's arm and asked. No, Xiaoxue is willing to do this, I am very happy. Wang Kai quickly replied. But this feeding method, who told you? Wang Kai didn't believe that Qian Rinxue, such an innocent and cute little loli, would have such a magical idea in her mind. Who told me? Of course, it's Grandpa who told me. Hearing Wang Kai's question, Chihiro Snow blinked her eyes and seriously replied. Hearing Chihiro Snow's words, Wang Kai finally couldn't hold back and laughed. This old man is very bad, but I like it. Profound azure mansion, rooftop. Big brother Wang Kai, the night sky is so beautiful. After eating and drinking, Chihiro Snow pulled Wang Kai's arm and went to the rooftop. Yes. Compared to the earth, the night sky of Dolua continent without fossil fuel and industrial pollution is extraordinarily beautiful. Little stars are embedded in the dark sky, shining dazzlingly. Big brother Wang Kai, Xiaoxue is very happy today, thank you for accompanying me and taking me out to play. At this time, Chihiro Snow continued to say. Well, today Xiaoxue is willing to celebrate my birthday with me, I am very happy too. Wang Kai also replied with a smile. This of course is not a lie, to be able to free himself from the heavy cultivation and training, and to have such a beautiful little girl accompany him all the time, Wang Kai also felt that his heart has been relaxed a little, and his state of mind is also slowly improving. This is the state of being relaxed and relaxed. For a soul master, although the cultivation of soul power is important, spiritual power is also indispensable for a powerful soul master. Long-term tension will lead to a soul master's spiritual power weakening, therefore, a good rest and relaxation is in fact very important for a soul master. Wang Kai and Chihiro Snow leaned on each other and talked with each other, pouring out their hearts. Xiaoxue, do you see that meteor? There is a beautiful legend where we come from, that when a meteor streaks across the night sky, if you close your eyes and make a wish to the meteor, your wish will be fulfilled. Let's do it together. At this time, a meteor slowly streaked across the sky in the distance. Wang Kai thought of the ancient legend on Earth, and slowly closed his eyes. Although Wang Kai knew that this is only a beautiful legend, and that what people make under a meteor might not be fulfilled, to be able to make a wish under a meteor with a girl he loves is also something that Wang Kai has never experienced before. After all, no matter what, this is still a romantic thing. Okay. After all, she is only a 6-year-old child, and with Wang Kai's words, Chihiro Snow naturally did not doubt, and obediently closed her eyes. I hope I can be with Big Brother Wang Kai forever, forever. After making such a wish, Chihiro Snow slowly opened her eyes and looked at Wang Kai. Big Brother Wang Kai, maybe you have fulfilled your wish? What is your wish? Chihiro Snow blinked her eyes and asked curiously. Well, I may have made my wish. However, you must not tell others about your wish, or else it might not come true. Wang Kai rubbed the tip of Chihiro Snow's nose and smiled. Okay, I know. I won't tell anyone. Qian Renxuan nodded her head vigorously. Since the heavens have given me such an opportunity, then I must cherish it, work hard, fight hard, become an indomitable expert, build my own country, and protect those who love me and those I love. Recalling his wish once again, Wang Kai suddenly felt a tremor in his soul. It was as if a layer of membrane that had been binding him for a long time had suddenly been broken, and the world had suddenly become more real and clear in an instant. This is... my soul realm has broken through? Wang Kai's heart suddenly had a trace of understanding. Let's try and find out. Wang Kai's heart moved and activated the secret art of multitasking. Multitasking. I finally succeeded. Wang Kai's mouth flashed a smile. Yes, the problem of multitasking that troubled him for 3 months was successfully solved by him at this moment. Big Brother Wang Kai, what's wrong? Why did you suddenly smile? At this time, Chihiro Snow, who had been staring at Wang Kai, asked with some confusion. Nothing, it's just that my state of mind and spiritual power have a breakthrough. Wang Kai pursed his lips and replied with a trace of joy. Breakthrough in your state of mind and spiritual power? Congratulations, Big Brother Wang Kai. In the cultural class, Chihiro Snow naturally understood the difficulty of a breakthrough in the state of mind, and hurriedly smiled and congratulated. Well, where were we talking just now? Let's continue. Under the night sky, a young boy and girl were holding hands and talking to each other. The moonlight was so beautiful. Chapter 46. What, you've already broken through to the realm of doing 3 things at once. The next night, Lin Ning exclaimed in disbelief after hearing Wang Kai's report. Yes, teacher. Last night, I saw a shooting star and gained some enlightenment. My state of mind also experienced a breakthrough, so I gave it a try and naturally broke through to the realm of doing 3 things at once. Wang Kai nodded as he replied. Genius, as expected of a genius. In just half a year of cultivation, you were able to achieve what other soul masters would take 4 to 5 years of bitter cultivation to barely achieve. Lin Ning couldn't help but nod his head in admiration. He continued, after breaking through from 2 to 3 things at once, there's nothing special about the subsequent breakthroughs. You only need to continuously increase your spiritual power and continue to condense new soul skill control acupoints according to the secret technique I gave you. Now I think we can begin the next phase of actual combat training. In the future, I will be your opponent until you defeat me. Fight with you? Wang Kai furrowed his brows. After half a year of bitter cultivation, Wang Kai believed that even those Soul Kings at the beginner stage of Soul Kings at rank 51 and rank 2 would definitely not be his opponent. However, Wang Kai was clear that if he wanted to fight with a soul sage like Lin Ning, even if he used both of his god's martial souls, he definitely wouldn't have a chance of winning. Yes, actual combat training. Don't forget the fundamental goal of all your training. Whether it's physical training or soul skill control training, the final goal is to increase your fighting ability. And the best way to increase your fighting ability is through actual combat. Furthermore, if you discover your shortcomings in actual combat, you can then undergo intensive training. Lin Ning nodded his head in confirmation. As if he could see the doubt in Wang Kai's eyes, he immediately continued to explain, "Of course, you don't have to worry. When you fight with me, I'll seal my own soul power and reduce it to the same level as yours. Furthermore, I'll only use the soul skills of my first 3 soul rings." "I understand. Then let's begin, teacher." Wang Kai didn't like to fight, but he also understood that many times, fists were the most powerful words. In the face of an enemy, the most effective way to protect oneself was to have powerful martial strength. Tang San had already become a god at the age of 25, and he also had countless hidden weapons and secret methods of the Tang sect. If he wanted to protect Chihiro Snow and build his own country, he definitely couldn't be weaker than him. Alright. Seeing that Wang Kai had agreed, Lin Ning walked to one side and took out 2 soul tools that were shaped like bracelets and put them on his wrists. "Instructor, what is this?" Wang Kai asked curiously. "This bracelet is called the Soul Sealing Bracelet. It can limit my soul force to that of a soul exalt. Unfortunately, it's very easy to break, so it can't be used to restrict soul masters. It can only be used in situations like this," Li Ning explained. "Then, instructor, I'm going to start," Wang Kai said tentatively. "Don't underestimate me. Come at me." After he finished speaking, purple soul power surged in Li Ning's hand. With a flash of light, an orange-red tiger's soul blade appeared in his right hand. Yellow, and purple soul rings quietly hovered behind him. "Good. Emperor Shura possess." Wang Kai's soul power surged, and streaks of Shura's power surrounded Wang Kai's body. Mysterious black scales with extraordinary carvings grew crazily on the surface of his body. His fingernails suddenly became thick and long, forming 10 sharp Shura's claws. Tiger Soul Slash. In the next moment, Li Ning had already turned into a bloody shadow. The first yellow soul ring behind him flashed, and a blood-red light blade accompanied by the shadow of a white tiger slashed towards Wang Kai. "Good. Shura's God-slaying spear." Wang Kai waved his right hand, and his soul power and the blood-red Shura's power condensed. An extremely mighty blood-red spear appeared in his hand. He waved both hands and met the blood-red light blade. The spear and blade collided, and in an instant, the two of them had already fought for dozens of rounds. Unlike Liang Hang and the other soul ancestors, although Li Ning only limited his soul power to the level of a soul elder, with his tyrannical battle awareness, his fighting strength was far superior to Liang Hang and the others. Every slash of his blade could accurately hit Wang Kai's weak spot, forcing Wang Kai to take half a step back and leaving Wang Kai with no way to retaliate. "You've lost." Tiger King's kill. Li Ning fought with Wang Kai for a few more rounds. Suddenly, his third soul ring flashed behind him, and the tiger's soul blade in his hand suddenly emitted a blood-red aura. Then, he slashed towards Wang Kai. Following Li Ning's slash, Wang Kai only felt an extremely ferocious blood-red tiger pouncing towards him. The furious roar of the King of Beasts also rang in his ears. Wang Kai only felt his body slightly stagnate, and his movements seemed to have slowed down. When he wanted to raise his spear again, the blood-red tiger's soul blade was already on his neck. "Teacher, I've lost." Wang Kai's eyes revealed a trace of astonishment, and he hurriedly admitted defeat. After half a year of training, your basic skills have indeed become much more solid." Li Ning nodded in satisfaction, then said, "However, you're still far from being a qualified soul warrior in my heart. Just now, I only exchanged a few more moves with you to observe the process of your battle. Otherwise, if I were to be serious, I would only need 3 moves to defeat you." "Yes, please guide me, teacher." Wang Kai nodded and asked for guidance sincerely. Wang Kai understood in his heart that if Li Ning had used his third soul skill right from the start, he might have really been defeated in one slash. Firstly, although you've mastered the technique of doing 3 things at once, you still can't skillfully use it in battle. Secondly, you still haven't fully developed the abilities of your martial soul, and you haven't used your body as your weapon. Lastly, the spear technique you used seemed to be able to defend against my attacks, but in reality, it wasn't very methodical and was full of flaws. You're still miles away from being able to produce blade intent like me. Li Ning coldly pointed out Wang Kai's problem, then said, however, don't worry. Based on your problem, I'll train you properly until you become a qualified soul warrior. Thank you, teacher. Wang Kai pursed his lips and said, however, may I ask, what is the blade intent that you mentioned just now? Good question. Speaking of blade intent, Li Ning's eyes revealed a trace of pride and excitement. Blade intent is a type of concept, and that concept is the product of a soul warrior cultivating a skill to the limit. It's extremely rare and also incomparably powerful. It can be said that once a soul warrior possesses a concept, their strength can at least double. The blade intent that I released just now was the comprehension of my blade technique after it reached perfection. It can condense the essence, energy, and spirit of the entire person into one to unleash an extremely powerful attack. Li Ning paused for a moment before continuing. This is also why I said that many titled Dolo aren't my match when they're at the same level as me. Even a titled Dolo might not be able to comprehend their own concept, and that concept is the embryonic form of a domain. If I'm lucky enough to become a titled Dolo, I'll definitely be able to obtain a blade domain. However, as for concept, you don't have to bite off more than you can chew now. My blade intent was finally comprehended at the age of 35 after I went through countless battles and tribulations. Now, as long as you train your battle techniques, multitask in battle, and master your martial soul and soul skills, you'll have achieved the goal that the head consecrator wanted me to teach you. Alright, let's continue. Just like that, Li Ning brought Wang Kai and began a brand new battle and training.